Good evening. The regular meeting for the City Commission for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 will come to order. Please join me in silencing your cell phones. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perrine? Here. Commissioner McGurk?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Mayor Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Police Department Senior Chaplain Thomas Prusnall will offer the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the wonderful gift of getting to live in this wonderful community, Lord. We're grateful for these friends and neighbors here willing to serve on this commission and for all those that are elected and appointed, Lord. I ask you to put your hedge of protection around them, protect them from the fiery darts of the evil one. And Lord, I ask that you'd give them the knowledge, wisdom, and discernment to make the hard decisions that they inevitably will have to make. Above all, I pray that all that they do brings you the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And now Megan Flanagan, career logistician and soon-to-be third-time mom, new resident in New Smyrna, will offer our pledge.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to the published agenda?
Yes, sir. I have two changes. One is we are withdrawing item 8C, and that is to consider exercising a first right of refusal for properties located at 2650 and 2700 North Dixie at the request of the applicant. The other changes I would like, when the consent agenda being discussed, I would like to pull item 7B for discussion.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Seven B as boy.
So we'll move on to announcements and presentations and recognitions. At this time, I would like Deputy Fire Chief Dan Harshberger to join the Vice Mayor at the podium to receive a proclamation.
So this is a proclamation declaring October as Pink Out Month. Whereas breast cancer is a very dangerous and commonly diagnosed cancer, ranking the second leading cause of cancer death among women in the United States, and whereas approximately 22,670 Florida women will be diagnosed with breast cancer and approximately 3,170 will have passed away from the disease in 2023. And whereas every woman is at risk for breast cancer, even if she has no family history of the disease, but women over the age of 50 are the greatest risk. And whereas the color pink, especially pink ribbons, is the internationally recognized color for breast cancer awareness. And whereas this month and throughout the year, I'll ask the citizens of New Smyrna Beach to join in support of the fellow Americans diagnosed with breast cancer, those who are in remission, and those who have lost loved ones from the disease. Now, therefore, Fred Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, do hereby declare the month of October 23 as Pink Out Month in New Smyrna Beach, and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of early cancer screening detection, encourage others to take the steps to increase awareness, to have a plan to help detect the disease in early stages. Witness, therefore, I do this, set my hand the 10th day of October 2023. So. These are one of the great traditions that, if you don't know my background, I'm a firefighter for 42 years. And this, along with muscular dystrophy, were one of the two causes that the firefighters always supported. We were out fundraising for, and traditionally, would do the pink out shirts. We even have a pink fire truck. So this is our way of recognizing those women who have suffered and the early detection of this disease that strikes so many people unnecessarily. So, congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartman. Thank you, Deputy Chief. It's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so at this time I'd like to invite the NSB Police Department staff, Kimberly Jensen, our mental health clinician, Odetta Orendir, the Port Orange victim advocate counselor, and Carrie Kraft, the New Smyrna Beach domestic intervention advocate, to join me and the rest of the commission at the podium, please. Thank you all for coming. Awesome. City of New Smyrna Beach proclamation recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, whereas domestic violence remains a pervasive issue across Volusia County and the United States and the world, with implications for personal and community health, and whereas domestic violence does not discriminate and touches all communities, regardless of race, age, disability, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas in Volusia County, approximately 10 people per day are physically abused by an intimate partner, and a need for safe house continues to be rated as the survivor's most urgent need. And whereas research shows that creating communities where people are connected, supported, and care for one another can reduce incidents of domestic violence. And whereas every day in New Smyrna Beach, individuals and organizations play a part in supporting people impacted by domestic violence, providing services including therapeutic, legal, educational, housing, advocacy, and medical services. Now, therefore, I, Freddie Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The City of New Smyrna Beach joins others across Florida and the nation in supporting victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalitions who are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence will not be tolerated, and urge all residents to become involved in their efforts to prevent and respond to domestic violence and recognize the impact of domestic violence in our community. See it, say it, report it. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 10th day of October, 2023. So let's get Bill, you stage the picture.
Okay, ladies, can I have you be the first row? I'll have you step right out front here, and we'll just alternate with the here. Thank you very much.
And now it's time for the city manager's report. We're ready, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. On October the 4th, we held a public meeting to get input on the proposed FDOT Sun Trail extensions in New Smyrna Beach. Also on October the 3rd, our staff attended at the Volusia County The Transform 386 program, this is for the city project that we are submitted for grants. On October the 5th, DOT held a public meeting regarding the intersection of State Road 44 and Mission. And they received some comments, and I'm going to follow up with them on the funding and also on the schedule. There was supposed to be a meeting for the 5th Street Bridge update on October the 3rd at the Smyrna Yacht Club, but that it turned out to be, it's a private meeting. So we moved the meeting first to the 12th, and now it's to the 18th. So the new date is October 18th, and it will be in the City Commission chamber here. Just kind of quick update on the recent storm that we have. I was not in town, but based on the information I received from staff, that we had some street flooding up in Venetian Bay and some of the other streets. Unfortunately, we had, it seems like we're always unlucky with a king tide associated with heavy rain for a couple of days. But it receded. Staff has looked at those streets and looked at some of these ditches and canals in the area. They'll continue to work on it, and also we continue to monitor our grants that we submitted with FEMA, the county, and the state. During the public participation at the last meeting, we had quite a bit of public participants who were concerned about Venetian Bay, whether Venetian Bay in terms of the buildings inside Venetian Bay or the mini golf course at the entrance of Venetian Bay from State Road 44. So when I finish this, I have asked the Development Services Director to update you within 2 minutes, 3 minutes on the status of this project that they referred to during the meeting. So we had quite a few comments about, they were asking the City Commission to deny and oppose this project. We had one citizen who was questioning about the personnel policy first reading, and she was requesting to revisit the financial impact and have staff bring to their attention the prior commission decision that put a limit on the accrued time that can be banked and time that needs to be paid out of the time of separation, and that's included in the. Also, she was asking about the golf course, if it's a self-sustained. And the golf course is self-sustained in terms of the operation cost. Occasionally, we go to the general fund for capital projects. There was a comment about the city marina. And that was one of the, I guess, one of the lessees at the city dock. She was asking to revisit what was proposed. But if you recall, the City Commission approved what staff recommended for the rates. Also, there was a comment about one of the special events on Canal Street. They thought that Canal Street would be closed. Canal Street is not closed. It'll be orange from Canal to Julia. And now I will ask Shane Corbin to come in and give us an update on Venetian Bay and also the mini golf course.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Shane Corbin, Development Services. As you all are aware, we've been receiving quite a large volume of emails from residents as well as people attending the meetings and making comments, and we've tried to get the information out the best we can about the status of those projects to try to help people understand what's going on. But Khalid asked me just to give a very brief summary, so I'm going to try to keep it quick. So the first project we'll talk about is the mini golf. There's currently 2 acres in the PUD for Venetian Bay that's already zoned appropriately for commercial right behind the entrance sign. And there's a list of permitted uses that can go there, such as drive-through restaurants, gas stations with gas pumps, banks, daycare centers, medical offices, things of that nature. It's not a huge list, but it's a list that's targeted for that type of intersection with that type of traffic volume. And it's restricted to 2 acres. What's been proposed is a restaurant, sports bar, and mini golf facility. That is not in that list of permitted uses. It's also proposed to be 4 acres and not 2 acres. So if that project would ever become a reality, it would have to go through a series of approvals, planning and zoning, both for a new plat, as well as an amendment to the MDA PUD to change the uses that would be allowed. And then there would be a site plan that would have to go through the normal site plan review process and approve. So it's not something that could just be rushed through. If people aren't paying attention, that it would get approved overnight. So there's a lot of opportunity for public input and public involvement in that project. However, I've been told that it has been put on hold for the time being. They became aware of the public coming to the meetings and the emails, and so they've put the project on hold. That doesn't mean that it won't move forward or they won't try to get it approved, but for the time being, what I've been told is they're taking a pause and try to evaluate if they want to do this or not. They had gone originally to the HOA and thought that they got positive feedback and thought that they wanted to move forward. But again, now they're going to pause. So that's where that one's at. The other one that's been getting some attention is the talk of development of what's known as Track G in the Venetian Bay Town Center. And that's when you turn in on Luna Bella. It's on the left. It's the large parking lot with the pool and the clubhouse, and it leads back around the town center there to the bistro. So there's concern from the merchants that the parking, if that is redeveloped, that there will not be enough parking for the businesses there. In doing a pretty thorough review of the PUD MDA, we believe that they can do that. It will require a site plan approval, and of course we will hold their feet to the fire on their parking ratios. However, they do have lower parking ratios than typically required, and those were adopted in the PUD MDA and agreed to by the city and the developer, I believe, all the way back to 2005, I think. That's how far back it goes. So we get asked the question, you know, how can you approve anything with a parking ratio of 1.5 parking spots per unit when new development that's happening in the city is higher? And the reason is it's because of what was agreed to in the PUD MDA. So I don't know if I went over 2 minutes, but I will say with that project as well, the developer has not submitted anything. There has not been an application. And in my last discussions with them, they still did not know what they wanted to do. They know they want to do something, but they didn't have anything that was far enough along to share with us. So as soon as I do, I'll be sharing it with you all, and it'll be public record for everyone else to look at. And that's it, unless you've
Appreciate
got
that.
questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks.
Any questions, Mayor? I'll be more than happy to answer.
Anybody? Questions for the city manager on his report? Thank you for that thorough report. Appreciate that. So this is our favorite time. This is public participation, and we get to listen to what is on your mind. This is a monologue of you letting the commission know something. It could be a particular employee that you thought did an outstanding job. It could be a concern you have about something going on in your neighborhood, anything at all. You'll have 3 minutes to come up and address the commission. It's not a dialogue, so we're not answering questions. You'll see a green light pop on there at 3 minutes, a yellow light at 1 minute, and you'll be done at the red light. anything at all. And when you come up, please, just your name and address for the record. We're happy to hear you. Welcome to the city's business meeting. We're here doing your business. Anybody for public participation at this time?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pasquale Bergnola. I live at 391 South Timberlane Drive. The Village Square MDA has been the topic of communications between staff, the commission, the applicants, and the neighbors leading up to the unveiling of a newly revised MDA at the October 24th meeting. I am adamantly opposed to the two most important items in the proposed September 26th version of the MDA, the any and all types of restaurants allowed and the absence of hours and days of operation. The quasi-judicial hearing was completed at the September 26th meeting. How can a newly revised MDA be introduced without going through the approval process? Does everyone but the citizens get the opportunity to comment on this new MDA, or is the chief planner the only one allowed to talk and just point out the changes from the September 26th version, and then a vote is taken? Is it a line-by-line yes-no vote, or is it on the entire MDA? I cannot stress it enough that this PUD, along with two adjoining PUDs, PUD 4-22 and PUD SP 31-22, listed on the current monthly activity report, border residential streets. Every PUD MDA bordering residential streets must require City Commission final approval, not have any type of restaurant allowed, and must contain hours and days of operation. PUD SP 31-22 currently needs only staff approval. This is unsatisfactory. The comprehensive plan states that the State Road 44 corridor, particularly the undeveloped area west of Old Mission Road, should be developed in a manner to protect adjacent residential neighborhoods from adverse impacts of unbridled commercial development. This PUD MDA is the epitome of unbridled commercial development adjacent to residential neighborhoods for the two reasons I mentioned above. The first responsibility listed in the chief planner's job description is, quote, reviews land development applications for compliance with the land development regulations and comprehensive plan, unquote. This MDA does not comply with the comprehensive plan. The applicant's objective is to get a 24/7 quick service restaurant at the site, and is confirmed in a letter to Ross Galbraith, project manager from Chief Planner Gov, that I spoke about at the September 26th meeting. The franchisor requires the following minimum hours of operation for an IHOP: Sunday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Friday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to midnight. References to the expired MDA are moot. It was not renewed nor extended, therefore it no longer exists. This newly written MDA is starting all over, where all topics are negotiable and must be subjected to a line item veto or approval process. This is a time to strengthen compliance with the rules and regulations governing PUD MDAs. There is talk about a dine-in only restaurant with a 9 p.m. closing time. To be clear, I'm not conceding my position, just offering a contingency plan if we lose the vote. I therefore respectfully request that the restaurant be located as far north on the east side of the ABC store. This will allow a larger buffer to the residents for air, noise, and light pollution, and would also keep traffic in the PUD. The current south entrance to the ABC store would also accommodate the restaurant traffic and direct them to exit the PUD at the traffic light. The current barrier needs to be lengthened to prevent the impatient customers from entering the PUD via a U-turn into the exit. Thank you. Appreciate your help.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Commissioners. I am Karen Francis of 261 Minorca Beach Way. I'm a proud NSB resident, and I also run, as a volunteer, the Hum NSB Food Pantry, assisted by a wonderful team of volunteers. Mayor Cleveland, thank you for issuing a proclamation recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. More than 10 million people in the US each year are victims of domestic abuse, primarily, but not exclusively, women. The Department of Justice reports that approximately 21% of all violent crime in the US is characterized as domestic violence. In the first 6 months of 2023, there were 787 domestic violence-related cases reported to the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, an increase of 13% compared with the same period in the previous year. So while overall crime has decreased in Volusia County, domestic violent cases are sadly increasing. Professionals working in the field of domestic violence estimate that only 1 in 100 survivors of domestic violence report the abuse. In Florida, court clerks processed 80,000 applications for protective injunctions for those impacted by domestic violence. Sheriff Tripwood stated in 2022 in Volusia County, 7 people died because of domestic violence. I want us all to understand that domestic violence happens here in New Smyrna Beach, as it does, sadly, in all communities. It happens behind closed doors in rich and poor communities. Abusers come from all socioeconomic groups and all professions. It's hard to fathom that the nice, kind neighbour or person at work or church or at the golf club is an abuser. Abuse happens behind closed doors, and typically abusers present as model citizens when with other people. Abusers typically isolate their spouse or partner, not wishing them to have the opportunity to share what's happening with family or friends. Those experiencing domestic violence often live in fear and do not wish to anger the abuser because escalating violence will then occur. People may think, well, just leave, get out of the relationship. That is typically not easy to do. Abusers often have sole control of the household finances. After long periods of abuse, survivors often have low esteem and little confidence. Leaving or attempting to leave is often when the person is at most danger of serious injury or worse. I don't have statistics for NSB. I'm going to liaise with the victim advocate. But I hope we can understand that the local situation is really important, as it is everywhere in the country. We have just one certified domestic violence shelter in Volusia County, the Beacon Center. I understand it can be very challenging to secure housing there for a fleeing family. I have heard mention of other safe houses, but I've yet to have this confirmed. At the NSB Food Pantry, we dispense groceries, but we also offer a listening ear. We have had women come to us upset and distraught because they live in a home with a domestic abuser. Some do not want to report the abuse to the police. Fortunately, a person suffering abuse can phone the Beacon Center, or somebody else can do it on their behalf, and speak with a professional. Making the Florida Domestic Abuse Hotline phone number widely available is very helpful. It's 1-800-500-1119. I repeat, 1-800-500-1119. I want to end with an ask. I think the ask is to challenge the city to continue to take this issue very seriously and consider ways we can make help and resources widely available in our community. Perhaps something as simple as a domestic abuse hotline phone number being on posters in public restrooms, in restaurants, in pubs. I would love an interagency domestic violence awareness task force to be set up. It could be an effective partnership of agencies such as the police, Parks and Recreation, partnering with voluntary organisations, community groups, and the business sector, such as pubs and shops. I hope some of you or one of you will take that challenge, and I'd be happy to work with you in discussing moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Good evening,
Evening,
board
sir.
members. My name is Charles Roy. I reside at 1910 Enterprise Ave. We have a motorhome place there. There's 24 units, and we have trouble with the city getting our garbage, pick up our trash. They haven't picked it up in over 2.5 months. And the reason why is our park goes in a circle. It's been in a circle over 50-something years, almost 60 years, been used this road. The lady that owns the property ascending to us decided to close the road down. Now we have no road to get out. We have a road coming in, nothing going out. The trucks refuse to come in to get our trash. Now we have 24 units at $24 a piece that we pay the city to pick up our trash. And they're not picking it up. They made us carry it up on Enterprise Ave, which is probably 600 to 800 feet to the back. These people are all 70, 80, and 90 years old, wheelchairs, cannot do this. And it's getting to be a rodent. Rats are coming up there because people are just throwing their garbage up now. We're mad. We're paying this money, we're not getting a service. Now, I have to blame the city for the simple reason. What the lady claims is they tore the road up, made a hole. I guess the city refuses to come in to repair it, so she decides to shut the road down. This road has been used for over 60 years. It has to be an easement, a right-of-way. It has to be. I got pictures of it, advertisement, with the road going around it. And why is it called Cedar Circle? Now, I put my outbuildings on, I had to go get a permit. I come to the city to get the permit. They do it the right way. City looks it up, looks me up. He says, you don't need a permit. I don't? He goes, no, you're not city, you're county. I says, oh. He goes, that road behind you is city. I like to get this figured out. I wish somebody would really dig into this. I do have the people name and address and everything that own the property. New York City, of course. And they refuse to let anybody come through that road. They got it chained off. Now, an ambulance come in and a fire truck. A week and a half ago, I happened to come out of my place. I come over and talk to the guy. They were picking up a lady that was 90 years old in a wheelchair, taking care of her. I said to him, how are you going to get out of here? He looked at me and goes, just drive around. I says, not no more. She shut the road off. He said, she can't do that. I goes chained right across there. Well, he brought the chief come over after to talk to me. And he says, I'll get this straightened out. But what he could do, only thing he could do is get a, how would you say it, a padlock on it that they could have an emergency exit. But it still don't help us at all. Plus, this matter doesn't even pertain to us. I mean, we're getting murdered on this. And I'd like you to look into it and find out what you can do. Now, what happens when you got yard trash? And I got a pile of it stacked in the road right now in front of my place. You know, you got palm trees, you got everything you're picking up every week you're doing. And how are you going to carry them up? We can't do it. Maybe a truck. They have smaller trucks that can come in. Maybe that could be the problem solver. Or to get together with those people that own that property, if they own it. If they own it. I don't believe there's not a right of way because it's been used for over 50 years.
I appreciate your comments, sir. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much
bet.
for listening.
Thank you, sir.
to me.
Excuse me. Hello?
Hi,
Becky.
Becky Reichenberg, 510 South Cooper Street on the beach side. I have several things. I know that in October we're going to do a review of the youth curfew. I'd like for you to consider a couple of things with that, and that is maybe we back off. I'm sure it worked great, but maybe we could back off on the 365 of it and maybe look into with the HB 1 2021, they have a special events provision in there that outside of the special events that you do still have the teeth to take care of large groups and disperse them. The Women's Club, I'd like to see no tax dollars spent on it for whatever you do. Whether you sell it, whatever it is, that no tax dollars be spent on it. I think our money needs to go to something a little more, better use of our money, put it that way. I live on Cooper Street, and I appreciate Mr. Rached and the chief helping us with the large trucks, delivery trucks that are going up and down that, even though there are signs everywhere saying no trucks. I'd like to see on the beach side that the speed limit for all residential areas be dropped to 25 miles an hour. On my part of Cooper Street, from stop sign to stop sign, is 528 feet. Middle part is about where my house is, which has a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And although I used to enjoy drag strips and stuff, although we won't go into that, in order to do 30 miles an hour at half that distance of 528 feet, you have to go increase your speed by 10 miles per hour every 88 feet. So guess what they do? They try. which means you've got to floor it. So I would like you to back it off to 25 miles an hour, and I think it should be that way for all residential on the beach side. Let's see. Now, I'm not going to make many friends on this one. Golf carts. We all love our golf carts, except for me. I do not like them. If you want to have golf carts, I think they need to be contained over on the beach side and not go across the causeway. Because when I'm going for an appointment or something, and I get behind a golf cart on a 35-mile-an-hour road, which has been reduced to, and that's going 20 miles an hour the entire time from the North Bridge all the way to Riverside Drive. I'm not a real happy camper on that. So if they're gonna be on the streets with trucks and cars and semi-trucks, they need to be able to do the speed limit that is posted, and that would be 35 miles an hour, complete with all the rules of the road, seat belts, car seats, etc. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. No, sir. Oh, take your card. Yeah, go right ahead.
Don't get nervous.
Hello, Megan Flanagan, 281 Cariota Court. I wanted to go on record to express my concerns regarding the historic building known as the Women's Club. I firmly believe that it is our collective responsibility to preserve and protect this significant piece of history. The Women's Club building stands as a testament to the dedication and contributions of women in shaping our city's past. It holds the stories and memories of generations, and its restoration would serve as a beacon of pride and historical continuity for our community. I've listened to many people share memories of events that took place at the Women's Club building, rites of passages, important meetings and clubs being held here, such as the Rotary Club, and moments of celebration. If you look up past reviews on this building, you will see that this building held stellar remarks. It held many diverse functions and was widely used. This building was loved. The building is closed because it fell into disrepair, not because it wasn't used or loved within the community. There is still a need and a purpose for it. This building holds historic moments collectively made up of the New Smyrna Beach residents' own passages of time. The masonry vernacular and with Mediterranean revival elements are unique and special to this historic building. May 11th, 1989, it was added to the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. In 2010, the Women's Club of New Smyrna was the recipient of the City of New Smyrna's Beach Miller Memorial Historic Preservation Award. A plaque denoting this award is located on the building. This building matters to our community. Just the other day, I visited the Museum of History. April Hall, a volunteer and member of the museum, shared with me a whole collection of board meeting notes and memorabilia from the club. This indeed was a group of strong women working for their community. One passage in 1929 references members seeking out creative uses for the club in a community setting and finding experts in various fields, such as horticulture, to preserve New Smyrna Beach. These women work to better preserve our community, as should we, even 94 years later. We owe it to their hard work, to ourselves, our community, and our future community. We owe it to this community to revitalize this building. I am part of many groups that would like to see this space used and events be held again. There is a need for this building. When architects Philip Reed and Harry Griffin finished this building in 1934, they turned it over to the residents to take care of with pride and honor. We need to utilize the expiring grants and make every effort to save this building. I implore you, esteemed members of the New Smyrna Beach Council, to consider the lasting benefits that the preservation of the Women's Club building can bring to this community. Let us work together to ensure that this important piece of history remains intact for future generations to appreciate and cherish. Thank you for your time and dedication to our city's well-being, and I look forward to hearing positive developments regarding the preservation of the Women's Club building. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Snezak. I live at 512 Yukon, and thank you for allowing me to speak this evening.
Cindy, speak right into that microphone or tip
Sorry
it up
about
so
that.
we can hear you.
Usually people don't have trouble hearing me. There's a comment that I'd like to make now on 11A, because I know I won't be able to make it through the whole meeting, and that's about the pension board. So there's two pension boards that the city has residents and other people sit on, and both of them in budget deliberations were noted as having a troubled recent performance history. So I don't know what qualifications are necessary to be on that board, but after listening to that budget meeting, I listened to a few pension board meetings because thankfully, due to prior efforts by the commission, they're on record. And you really want to take a good look at the qualifications. That's a very tricky business for somebody to be in. So I know there's only one position that's opening up, and if it's somebody retiring or whatever, I don't know. But, you know, the city had to kick in quite a bit of money to try to make up for underperformance, and that shouldn't happen. So if there's something about the contract, the contractor who is managing the investments, then it shouldn't take 3, 4, 5 years for the board to figure out they didn't get what they paid for. So if you could just very carefully consider that. I don't even know if anyone applied for it, but I wanted to bring that up. The other is to revisit an item I mentioned last meeting on the consent agenda, and that is that it would be very helpful if there was additional information called out on the item itself on the consent agenda. And I'll give you an example. On 7F, there's consider the approval to purchase critical IT infrastructure. Nothing more than that. So I go to the staff report for it, and there's no information there other than the $500 and something $100,000 to be spent on the item. So I really do think that the agenda and the packet need to be self-sustaining in terms of the information that it provides, and it shouldn't be incumbent on the public to try to then fish back into prior budget documents to figure out what we're spending $500,000 on. I think that's important. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else for public participation? Dr. Herman.
Mayor, City Commissioner, staff, good evening. Randy Herman, 108 Esther Street. I would like to comment on a couple things. One is a concern, and it's sort of related to the Women's Center debate that you're going to have, which I really appreciate. I know it's been somewhat of a painful process, but I'm glad it's still on the agenda because I do think symbolically it is an important issue for our community. One of the things that I've been aware of in the 12, 14 years I've been here is how our city is evolving and growing. And we have Beachside, we have sort of Central City, and we have west of 95. And one of the things I'm a bit concerned about is we are not necessarily seeing ourselves as a total community. And I think there is danger of the large development past 95 really becoming the voting block for the city. And, you know, many of those people I talk to, they don't come beachside because for a variety of reasons. And so we have this kind of segment that's naturally happening. We have beachside that is struggling with a balance of residential and commercial. There's a lot of issues going on right now in our community. So anything that actually can bring us together, I think is really important. And I think a historic building is one of those things. So I'm glad there are some options tonight for you to consider. It's not just tear down or sell, but there's some other creative suggestions. But having been to Northampton, Massachusetts, where my daughter's on the Northampton Historical Society there, they restored a barn much less grand or as good a meeting center as what we have. And it brought together their community in the most fantastic way. People volunteered, money was raised. It became truly a symbol of the community. This building has a lot of history. I don't know architecturally if it's that fantastic, but it does have that symbolic history of women coming together for the benefit of this community. So I really urge you to have a really good discussion tonight and see if we can come up with a creative way to move forward to something symbolically that talks about that's good for all parts of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. And so let's have a look at the consent agenda. Is there anyone from the commission would like to pull in? City manager, any that you would want to pull?
Yeah, I wanted to just pull item 7B as in boy for discussion.
7B
Please.
for discussion. Anybody else? Ms. Mann?
Yeah, 7D, I just have a question.
D as in David, okay.
And I have a question on E
Echo
and a question on F.
on F. Anybody else? Okay, very good. Therefore, I would entertain a motion to approve item 7A, C, G, and H.
So move.
The motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to item 7B, which is approval of the City of New Smyrna Beach to participate in a free community video, showcase video program by the CGI Corporation.
Thank you, Mayor. This item it talks about a video, and it's a cost-free to the city to produce the video. However, during the briefings, the mayor and I were having discussion, and he asked me several questions that I think the commission needs to be aware of. So he asked me, is this video going to be on just economic development or not? So when I checked, the city of Zephyrville in Florida, they did a video, and it has several segments in it, each segment. So they have a welcome video. They have parks and recreation and tourism. They have downtown, business and economic development. They have homes and real estate. They have education, and then they have community organization. The city of Deltona have used them. The city of Orange City have used them. The city of Temple Terrace have used them. Miami Springs used them. So I would I'm going to pull this item to provide some more information, and then this way the commission could maybe think about whether they want to do just an economic development video or a combination of videos. So I would like to pull this item for the next meeting so I could provide some more information for you. It doesn't cost the city anything. I've watched the video. I'm going to send it to you, the one I've watched, so you could take a look at it and see what they have. So,
Without objection? All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am,
to
go right
add
ahead.
to that, since you're compiling different information for us. A couple citizens reached out to me and asked, even though it's no cost to us, there's obviously labor involved for our staff, and how much time would they need for this if we do go with this? And then after this video is completed, who gets a possession of that was the other question they asked. And if we did this last year, what did we use it for?
okay. As far as the cost, as I said, there is no cost. As far as staff time, I don't think there will be quite a bit of staff time involved. The video will be ours. I was asking how did they get paid for it, and apparently what they do is they would approach businesses to see if they wanted to maybe have their logo or their business sign or their business in the video. So that's how they get paid for the video themselves.
And then the last question, did we do this last year? And
No, we didn't. This is the first time that they have approached us. So that's why I want to make sure I want to come back next meeting and give you some more information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Martin.
More a comment. I would like to ask that the beach not be featured in this.
Well, I don't want to say that in the
We've got a
in the
lot
meeting.
of other attributes,
Yeah,
a lot.
That's why we'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Think golf, think a
Appreciate
lot of
that.
other things.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you, Khaled. And without objection, we're going to pull that. 7 Delta, Commissioner Martin.
Okay. I'm just a little confused. I would have assumed that we would do a survey and title search prior to executing the purchase, but I see one of the functions of this contract is a title search and a site survey. So I guess I don't understand. Do we not routinely?
Commissioner Martin, when we purchased the property, all those things were done.
Why are we
The
doing it
title
again
search,
then?
I'm not sure if that was on this one or not. To
Well,
do
that's
the
what it
title
says in
search?
the agenda packet.
Yeah, the survey, you have to do a survey for, the survey and when you purchase, it's just a boundary survey.
I'm just reading from the agenda packet, which says that we, part of the contract is that these, whatever their names is, will do a title search and a
CPH.
site survey.
Well, that's part of their proposal. If it needs it, they'll do it.
That's not the way it's written, so perhaps we want to look at that.
Are you aware of the contract or the proposal that they submitted? CPH? Don? You? Okay.
Chief Engineer, I think,
Let
has
me-
something.
Let me find out for you. Is he there?
Chief Engineer might have some enlightenment there.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. With me, I have Ket with CPH representative. Yeah, I did reach out to Chief Sean Vandermark. He did not provide any of the documentation I needed, so I put it in there as provision. As part of the design process, CPH will need not just a boundary survey, they'll need a topographic survey that has, tells you the elevations. That's typically not found when you change titles or possession of property. That's a boundary survey. It's horizontal control. And also will be a tree survey. So all those 6 inches in diameter will be identified. So that's what's required.
Yeah, no, I saw the tree survey. I was just confused when it said that it would be doing a site survey and a title search.
Yeah.
The title search would be, only if it was necessary.
And it would be nice to add those words if necessary, because those weren't included.
Okay, got it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. And for the record, let me get your name, sir.
My name is Ket West. I'm a principal architect with CPH in Sanford.
Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate that, sir.
Thank you.
So we're at 7D. Is there a motion to approve 7D?
Make the motion to approve 7D.
There's the motion.
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, item 7E, consider proposal of Pegasus Engineering to do Hurricane Nicole grant services. Commissioner Martin.
Okay, well, I'm a little concerned about tasking a company with another project when others, since at least 2017, have not yet been completed. Specifically with the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, I would hope that a successful conclusion to the original group, we could get complete information and a reasonable time frame to new homeowners. So, and I would like to know the total number of projects for NSB Pegasus is working on now. But finish one thing before you start another.
If I may, Mayor, just to...
Yes, sir, please.
And
enlighten us.
Please, and I will get, I think, somebody from Pegasus is presented here, but I would like just to say a few things about Pegasus. And I have worked for the last 34 years with consultants, especially on engineering. In this particular project, and I will say this with honesty, they have worked above and beyond the scope of the contract. And I know Commissioner Martin and I, we agree to disagree on this, but this is dealing with FEMA. It wasn't as simple as it is. As you know, you submit the projects, to the state send it to FEMA, and it took a while for them to even consider the project to begin with. Then after all that, after it took all these years, we have to put it out to bid. This was a large project in terms of elevations and in terms of demo and rebuild. The elevations project is out. Typically we used to elevate 1 or 2 projects. In this particular one, there is probably, we started off, if you recall, we started off with 30 projects overall, and then people start dropping off. And as they drop off, that has affected the group overall. So what happened is, when we submitted the projects, they were under the category of elevation, and there's a threshold of $175,000, which means they will pay you $175,000 regardless of what the cost is. Then the other one, which you have to submit the benefit cost analysis, based on that, if you have more than 1.0 of benefit cost analysis, then they will see what the cost is and they will pay for that. And then you have the demo and rebuild. So these were submitted. And as we moved forward, some people start dropping off. So the groups that they were submitted as a threshold or as a benefit cost ratio, as a group, when you drop off, it affects the benefit cost ratio for them. So that's one. As we move forward on the project, then they came back and they said, especially on the demo and rebuild, they indicated that, well, typically we don't do the demo and rebuild unless if you have a structural engineer indicates that the house cannot be elevated. And that was almost after 4 years working on the project. When we started the project, they indicated that you could submit for any of them. I have given you right now, this is a timeline of these projects going on right here. So I cannot express my appreciation to Pegasus of how they worked on this project and work with the homeowners. I know Commissioner Martin, she has some legitimate concerns about updating and getting some. This is probably from the staff level that we should have given you some more updates, and I agree with that. But she's here. I would like her to just say a few words about their company, about their work that they've done also, and how many projects that they have right now.
Okay, and I want to be clear that I am not denigrating Pegasus in any way. It's just, generally speaking, one does like to have one project finished before tasking with another. And it's just, I'm just saying that might be helpful. I'm not denigrating Pegasus in any way, shape, or form.
Sure. And then the other thing is, as we put the project out to bid, so now you have a consultant who worked on the grant itself, and now you have a contractor. And we have we have 2 contractors, and we have issues with the contractors in terms of providing some of the services they were supposed to be providing. This lady right here, she was here on Saturdays, on Friday night, and Saturday and Sunday, trying to work some of these issues, even though it wasn't in their contract. So, Layla, thank you very
Without
much.
objection,
You got it.
we'll listen. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, if you don't mind.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Layla Saavedra, Pegasus Engineering. I understand your concerns, ma'am, and let me explain how FEMA works. If you do not apply for the funding available under Hurricane Nicole, that window will close, and you will not be able to apply for that funding. There are residents that have flooded so badly and are interested in being part of the program that FEMA will be able to cover 75% of so that they can be elevated or they can be demo rebuilt. So it's not as easy as let's close one project before we begin a next one, because you are dependent on FEMA. It's their schedule. We need to go by it. So demolition reconstruction is still going, elevation is still going. Meanwhile, this chance to apply for additional funding is out there. The deadline is October 20th, and it closes. So we are working with your residents to help them. They are desperately looking not to flood anymore. And elevation or demo rebuild, it's a way that we can help them.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Any questions?
Well, yeah, does the next group understand that it could be 7 or 8 years before their home is dealt with?
They know that FEMA takes a very long time to.
Yeah, well, I know when ours were originally done, we were told 5 years. And, there was, 38 or more people in 2017. But the expectations, I think, need to be in line with the actual project.
Yes, they do know that FEMA takes a very long time. With the city of New Smyrna Beach, we had concerns originally with Hurricane Irma. The projects, all of them, we had elevation and demo rebuilds. They were denied by FEMA, if you remember. And it's because FEMA was not acknowledging the city of New Smyrna as having areas that were tidal influenced. So they denied all of the help that could have been given to you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, so item 7E is on the agenda here for consideration. Is there a motion to approve item 7E?
Motion to approve
A
item
motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so 7E. Before we move on to 7F, I want the city attorney to have a few words before we discuss that in public, and it will relate to Cynthia's point. This is a confidential matter with secret and confidential information on it, and was not available to the public for those reasons, because of the confidentiality of the matter of the business. The commission has been fully advised of that and advised to be silent to the public about it because of the confidential nature of it. Madam City Attorney.
Yes, I was just going to point out that the Florida statutes under Chapter 119.0725 does make this information confidential and exempt, and what I would recommend is that if there's going to be any discussion of this item or questions regarding it, we either need to continue it or have a separate item or a separate meeting that will be confidential and exempt, and there will be a transcript that will be kept confidential and exempt. So I would just, I don't know if we need to take a few minutes and we discuss what the questions are, or
we can take a vote and find out.
it was polled, so that's what I'm.
Pulled for discussion, pulled to, we'll vote on whether it's going to.
I only had a question. I noticed it was ARPA funding, and I was just wondering, and I'd never seen it listed under ARPA funding, so I didn't know if we had.
It's ARPA funding.
I understand. I'd never seen it listed as one of the, previously I had never noticed anything from IT being on ARPA funding projects.
There is a few, if I remember correctly, and I do remember, it was a cybersecurity $1 million for that project.
Okay,
so that's.
For item 7F, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, thank you very much. 7F is gone. Very good. So now on to administrative items and new business. Item 8A is a consideration for approval of an amendment to the city clerk's contract. Madam City Attorney, do you have a report, please?
Yes, at the last meeting when we were talking about the changes to the personnel policy and updating the personal leave cash out and making it consistent, there was direction from the commission to update the city clerk's contract to make it consistent with what other departments heads have, and consistent with this proposed ordinance that will be for your consideration later in the agenda. Before you have a second addendum to the city clerk's contract that deals with that issue.
Thank you very much. Is there questions or comments or discussion about the consideration for this amendment, which has to do with holiday compensation? I had one question maybe for the city attorney.
Point of order, it's
Yes,
not
sir.
holiday, it's vacation buyout.
Vacation.
Yeah.
Misspoke, yep, thank you for saying it right, appreciate that. Is it appropriate when when we're reviewing, not to renegotiate, but certainly, should the contract be amended and restated in total? There are several items in there that are not current, and so I'm wondering if that's appropriate or not, to
That was
restate,
not the
amend
direction.
and restate.
Yeah, that was not the direction given. If that is the will of the commission, I'm happy to do that.
Gotcha. My view was that there's now one thing that has been updated. We have opened the contract to look at it and amended it, and yet there are several other things that are out of date. Salaries out of date. The date that we have incorporated amendments based on when the last time our personnel and policy procedures have been updated, which was listed as 2018. Anybody reviewing this would say they got into it, they reviewed it, but they didn't correct the whole thing. And so I thought maybe it was appropriate, so I asked the city attorney what the terminology is, and it's called amending and restating the contract, not negotiated. So that was my interest.
So you want to delay this?
So the idea was I'd like it amended and restated so that it is 100% accurate. And because it's about Kelly, I talked to the city clerk about it, and it was about updating the salary, updating the date of our personnel and procedure policy, which has been reviewed in 2023, not 2018. So it will not appear for future people looking at it that, oh my gosh, they don't review their personnel policies for years and years, and it'll reflect the accurate amounts of her compensation. That was the idea. We're amending a portion of it right now.
Yeah, but I'm not aware of anything else that hasn't changed. She's gotten the regular raises along with everybody else when we do across-the-board raises. So, that was her starting salary. She's continued to get pay raises throughout the cycle, so. And I don't think there was anything else policy change that would have affected her, because I asked specifically how changing of the vacation would affect any of the 3 contracted employees, and staff's review was that this was the only one that it actually would need to be changed, so.
So you're comfortable with it reflecting her original salary, not her current salary, and you're comfortable with saying that the policies that we're under today are the ones that were written in 2018?
I am.
I'm not, so
Okay.
that was where I was.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why was hers different than staff's to begin with?
It was negotiated differently. It's just the prerogative of whoever negotiated that contract.
And then just one more for the record, and you explained it to me in our one-on-one. Why is it appropriate? Why is it that the city clerk in this case had to submit her change to her contract rather than the HR department?
I can answer that. During the last meeting, the agenda deadline happened at 5 o'clock. These things were discussed and staff was directed to move forward with them. The agenda locks at that time. Only people with administrative permissions, which were under a handful of us, are allowed in there to open it up and put in a staff report. When it was discussed during the department head meeting, I went ahead and did that to take care of it, to make sure that along with a couple other items were entered. So it wasn't me putting in a report for my own. It was a placeholder to go ahead and move to the city attorney's office.
Got it. It just seemed awkward that you had to put in your own report rather than our HR group. Yes, ma'am.
Just a reminder that Kelly is in a reasonably unique position. She is one of 3 charter officers. So charter officers, I believe, are routinely handled a little differently than regular department heads or staff or anything else. So being one of the charter officers, I think, puts her in a unique position.
I think the way I look at it is we have something we need to change right now. It's before us. Let's go ahead and do that. And I have no problem with addressing those issues that you have at a future meeting. if that makes sense to do that.
Sounds fine to me. Is there a motion for, any more discussion then? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the amendment to the city clerk's contract?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second and a third. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Perine,
Yes.
Commissioner McGirt,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8B, the discussion on the disposition of the New Smyrna Beach Women's Club facility. We'll have our Assistant City Manager, Ron Nybert, offer his report. Ready, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We're going to go through an update on the current status and options moving forward with the decision on the disposition of the Women's Club. As you recall, we've had several meetings and provided information to the Commission on the past and status reports. We had a public meeting in August to present the current status to the public and garner public input on their opinions as to what to do with the facility. And I'll present those again to you this evening and other options for you to consider. So just to refresh the timeline, the start of the Women's Club project happened in May of 2018. We received ECHO grants and state grants, respectively, in Julys of 2019 and 2021. The design contract was approved by the Commission in October of 2021, and construction began in June of 2023. The original phase scope of the project, Phase 1, for which the contract was issued, we had architectural and engineering costs of a little over $88,000. The construction contract was about $1.1 million for a total cost of the project at that time of $1.2 million. The funding from Phase 1 was in the form of local match of $350,000, an ECHO grant of $267,500, and a state grant of $600,000 to reflect the contract costs and costs already incurred. The original theoretical scope of Phase 2, we had architectural and engineering estimate of $100,000, construction estimate of $650,000, for a total Phase 2 cost of $750,000. The funding at that point in time, Phase 2, was $750,000 from the City of New Smyrna Beach. No grants had been secured to effectuate the repairs on the Phase 2 portion of the project. The summary of Phase 1, again, $88,000 in A&E cost, $1.1 million in construction, for a total of $1.2 million. Combined with the $750,000 proposed on the Phase 2, we had an original conceptual cost, estimated cost of about $1.9 million. The funding of that, again, would be $350,000 from the city on the Phase 1, 267 ECHO, $600,000 from the state grant, and again, $750,000 in local funds with no grants secured at that time. The combined city match on those two portions of the project, based on those project contracts and estimates, was about $1.1 million of a $1.9.6 million total project. Unfortunately, in the course of doing the renovations on Phase 1, unforeseen circumstances were discovered in the form of additional rot, termite damage, other deficiencies in the building that needed to be addressed. Large portions of the framing of the structure, the joists, the windows, both on the foundation portion and in the ceiling portions, were discovered, necessitating the Commission to put a hold to the project to reassess the situation. We canceled that contract, we paid off the contractor, and now we're here trying to assess the actions moving forward. So this is just a summary and pictures of the additional findings in the course of the construction project and additional evaluations. Now, at that point in time, we had our building official do an evaluation and an inspection of the structure. and came up with some proposed additional costs based on his findings of about $518,000, which would raise that that original $1.9 million to about almost $2.5 million in renovations. That was without any further, more intrusive investigations on the structure to determine the scope of the damage that was encountered. Other potential damage based on his inspection that could have been found had the more extensive investigation occurred. His thought was a possible additional cost beyond that of about $277,000, which would have put the total project at that point in time, based on his estimates, at about $2.76 million. So we have had a couple options moving forward at that point. Was to continue with the renovation at $2.76 million. The commission chose to pause the project based on the funding that we had at that time. It would have necessitated local match of about $1.9 million, coupled with the original ECHO grant, the original state grant, showing a breakout of the cost of the project based on the building official's estimate. The original scope of work, what did we spend to date when the contract was suspended? We spent the original $87,000 in actual cost on A&E. We spent about $301,000 of the original $1.1 million contract, and administrative and other services of about $37,000. So at that point in time, when the city canceled the contract, we had already incurred expenses of $425,000. So when the commission put a halt to the project, we said, let's get a better evaluation. Let's get a couple of other sets of eyes on it than our building official. We had the Bentley Group, who was the original design consultant for the Phase 1 portion of the project, came in and did an evaluation of the facility. Based on their evaluation and inspection of the facility, they come up with a proposed renovation of the facility of $2.3 million. That's both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Total cost to the city of the renovation in Phase 1 and Phase 2 revised, the Bentley estimate of $2.3 million. We would have incurred of new expenses, keeping in mind we had already spent $425,000. Had we moved forward based on the Bentley estimate, if the project was completed, we would have incurred total expenses of $2.7 million. We also had Bentley look at it. One of the other options was to demolish the building, and in order to maintain the size of the facility that we've had in place for all these years, we asked them to do an estimate to rebuild the structure, basically mirroring the structure as it is at its original construction, the same size, new facilities, new materials. Their estimated cost was just a hair under $2 million to build a new facility. So total cost of the city would have been, had we chosen the rebuilding the facility, tearing it down, building a new building, again, about $2 million. The $425,000 already expended on the old structure would have made the city expend about $2.4 million in total cost to put up that new building. At that point in time, we reached out to a contractor. We had designers look at the facility. Let's get in touch with a contractor that has had experience in this type of facilities. We reached out to Mr. Curtis Hodges. He provided an estimate to renovate Phase 1 and the revised Phase 2 based on the current conditions. His inspection and evaluation of the structure came in with a total cost of about $2.34 million to renovate the existing structure as is. So again, looking at Mr. Hodges' estimated the $2.4 million plus the $425,000 already expended, we would have had about $2.8 million in that facility as it sits right now. So, Women's Club property options that we have right now. Remodel and retain the structure as is. Remodel the historic structure based on one of the three options that we had available. We would certainly have to go out for rebid on the project from phase 1 and phase 2, A to Z beginning. We're probably looking at about $2.5 million to get that done. Now that is above and beyond the $425,000 we already spent. We're starting from ground zero. So if we chose that route, our full cost into that facility would be near $3 million once it would be said and done. Option 2 would be to demolish the structure and sell the property as vacant property. We feel that the estimate that we have on demolition would be about $63,000. Looking at the value of the property from two standpoints. One was looking at what the property appraiser values the property, and we had a local commercial realtor give us an estimate on the value of the property. Those numbers range between $315,000 and $415,000 property value. Option number 3 is demolish the building and retain the property, meaning we demolish the structure, we hold ownership, and we decide what to do with that property at a future date. Again, the estimated cost on demolition is about $63,000. A fourth option, which was proposed by Mr. Hodges and residents at the community building, in order to try and maintain the historical integrity of the structure and provide the 4,000 plus square feet of space that people in the community feel that we need, we could sell the property via an RFP process. We could then require the buyer to maintain the historical integrity of that structure, anticipated revenue from that based on the value of the building with the property from the property appraiser, and the estimate from the commercial real estate agent varies between $350,000 and $577,000. As part of the process, whether we go for a remodel or we go for the RFP, we would have to go before the Historic Preservation Commission. A remodeling of that facility, if it is done either by the city or the private entity, would have to go to the Historic Preservation Commission for a certificate of appropriateness for the design of that facility. Likewise, if the city were to propose on demolishing the facility, we would have to go to the Historic Preservation Board for a certificate of appropriateness for the actual demolition of the property. So those are two options that we'd have to do. In relation to selling the property through the RFP process, when we sell property, as you know, we require 2 appraisals of that property when we put it out for bid, so we can set a minimum price that we would accept for that property if we chose to go that route. I'll answer any questions you may have at this
No
time.
comments yet, but any questions from any commissioner, vice mayor?
Mayor, if
Yes.
I may.
Oh,
just-
yes.
so this
I'm
way-
sorry, Colin.
No,
You
just
wanted to provide a summary.
Just to add some
Yep.
few things here. We did have a public meeting, and I want to try to update you on the public meeting as well. But before we go there, he mentioned about the 2 appraisals. So these numbers really don't mean anything at this point, because we will have the 2 appraisals. And then based on the 2 appraisals, we will set, with the commission, we will set the number that we want in the RFP. And then the second thing I want to point out, based on the commission discussion at a previous meeting, where we stopped the contractor, there is no money in this budget for this building. So I just want to make sure that the commission is aware of that. We didn't budget anything based on what the commission decision at that time. So I will let Ron just to kind of give you an update on the public meeting, just in case if some of you were not there, and then we will be more than happy to answer any questions.
Very good.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yes, we had the public meeting here in August. We had a very good crowd of interested citizens who expressed some very good, very valuable opinions on the facility. I think the prevailing feeling is that they would love to have the facility as is, remain in the community, but as you heard tonight, the majority of opinion of the public present was, we don't want any more city tax dollars going to maintain and repair this facility. They think the best chances, in their opinion, to maintain this facility is to put it into private hands and require them to renovate the property in accordance with its original historic integrity. So I think that was the lion's share of the opinion. Others were just tear it down and move on. But I think the majority of the opinion present was, let's try and save the building, and if we have to put it in private hands to do that, the public would be in favor of that.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. Any questions from the Vice Mayor for the presentation?
So the state grant has not expired yet.
Correct.
So would that be something that we could pass on to if we sell the building? Is that something that can go on to whoever the new builder would be? Would they?
Not if he's running it as a for-profit entity.
Okay.
The state grant was granted specifically to the city. My understanding, the state will give these types of legislative grants to not-for-profits.
Okay.
So the only way we could maintain the state grant was if the individual who purchased the property were to operate it as a not-for-profit entity.
Okay.
Any others? Okay. Commissioner McGurk.
Ron, I want to thank you for an elaborate report to try to consolidate all this information and all the numbers, and that small of a report, and be able to understand it was impressive. However, a lot of numbers were thrown out. Just want to clarify something. The city already has into the project $425,000.
Yes, sir.
How much of that was to kill the project?
Was the what?
How much of that 400? What did it cost to kill the project? What did we pay the contractor to kill the project?
We paid the contractor to cancel the contract about $140,000, but that was part of the $300,000 that we paid in total to the contract for work completed and for the other factors in canceling the contract.
Okay. So when we're looking at these numbers and you refer to the city's cost of, doesn't matter, 2.1, 2.5, 2.8.
Correct.
You're including or not including the grant money. In other words, that total cost will include the money from the grants. Is that correct?
It would only possibly include the money from the state grant. The ECHO grant has been rescinded by the county. There was no way that we could have met the time frame for the grant. When we received our last extension from the county council, they indicated that there will be no more extensions on this grant to the city of New Smyrna Beach. So our decision was, since we couldn't meet the scope of the project in the time frame established by the county council, that we chose to rescind the grant and return the money.
Okay, understood. But when you refer to the cost, the city's cost of this project of $2-point-something million, part of that is grant money, correct?
If we can convince, if we could convince the state.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
But that would include it. It's not just $2.5 million right out of the city's pocket.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions for right now.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Mark.
I just want to verify, it is the higher number if we can't get that grant money. So, I mean, we can't make a decision based on grant money that we may or may not be able to get or retain. That's all, as I understand it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think to clarify, just so this way, the cost that you see, this is the total cost. Now, if it's 2.8 million and you get a $600,000 grant, then your cost is going to be 2.2. So that just
Right, we just can't make our decision based
No,
on
I got it.
hypothetical grants.
I'm just trying to say the 2.8 is the total cost of the project.
Commissioner Perrine.
Okay. I have a couple of questions and comments that we haven't had answered yet. A couple of things. It says we've had this building closed since 2018, and this building has never been profitable. And so with the thoughts of future use for this, the concerns with some of the neighbors is where are the people going to park if this stays as a same type of structure for an event. And a lot of the people now currently park in the Advent parking lot at night, but that could be possibly going away. So the neighbors are concerned that people are going to be parking all over the streets. There's not a lot of parking there. So those are some things that we need to address if we ask for this building to be maintained the same future use as what it is now.
Again, the building is, I guess for lack of a better phrase, grandfathered in relation to the regulated parking. In relation to functional parking, yes, that's an issue. That'll be an issue moving forward. If the city renovates it, it'll also be an issue moving forward if a private developer does that. The developer, if they do this, they're going to have to come through and maybe do a zoning review depending on the scope of what they do on that facility. There's nothing that would say at this point, and certainly that's a decision the commission would have to make, what they're going to utilize that property for. The city could just make the condition that the property maintain its external historical appearance, and they could utilize that property for whatever other purpose that the zoning allows in that district. At that point, there could be a change in use consideration, then parking would have to be taken into consideration as part of any regulatory reviews that would take place.
Thank you on that. The other thing is when we put this out to RFP, I would like to see this not have a long due diligence period because this could drag on and the building could go into worse disrepair. What do you foresee this due diligence period being?
Well, when you do your RFP, I mean, you could set any criteria that you would like to set there. So you could put due diligence, you could put time limits, whatever you decide based on the, now just keep in mind, the staff did not make any recommendation on this. But if the commission would like to know what I would recommend, I would be more than happy to do that, so.
Plan to ask you that very soon. Any others? Okay, just echoing Commissioner McGurk's comments about how well presented it was. I went to the town meeting. You did a great job surfacing all of the various demands, interests, concerns, and it is a wide variety. There are people lining up on both sides of this issue. And not to rehash how we got here, but I think Commissioner McGurk might have said it at one of these meetings, which was we made financial decisions based on the city's needs and rack and stack those financial requirements. This building was in good shape at one time, and it was not maintained, but it was not out of neglect. It was out of purposeful decisions of where to spend our money. And so I just wanted to refresh that in everybody's mind. Obviously, we value your and Khaled's expertise in this, being in this business for a long time. And just for the record, do you have a recommendation for what of these options and some explanation to why? You're up. Ron is waving you in to say, here's your recommendation and why.
And I'll tell you, Mayor, I've been looking at this building since I got to the city of New Smyrna. So I've been in it. I had events in it. We had city events in it. It's a valuable historic building. However, as we discussed in previous meetings, the cost is just, to me, that does not justify the city to spend the money. As Commissioner Perrine said, this building has never been a revenue-generating building. My recommendation would be to put an RFP to sell the property as is and require whoever buys it to restore the building and work with them on some of the zoning issues and some of the parking issues.
Thank you for that. And I have no more questions. Thank you for the report. Appreciate it. And now I'll open to our discussion as a commission for where we want to go. Let's start back to the other side. Commissioner Perrine, where do you think and what do you think?
My biggest concern since the beginning was of this, if we were going to save this building, we should have had a business plan a long time ago for this. To let this building become neglected like it is, shame on all of us. You know, it's sad, but we haven't done a bang-up job with that since 2018. It's taken this long. We move like a snail when it often comes to government, and there's a lot of things that we can't control about that. As you can see, one of the grants is expiring. We didn't have $3 million in our budget, and we had to shave off $10 million for the people that wanted to save this building. When we shaved $10 million off of our budget, $10 million, we were actually looking at jobs, things that keep the city running, safety, fire. The last thing on our priority list was, unfortunately, a historic building without a business plan. Could we have done a better job with this? Absolutely, a long time ago. It should have started in 2018, not 2023, when we're already shortfall with people's taxpayers and the money for that. Should the HPC or trust raise money to save this building? There were a few people that wanted to keep it. Yes, they should have. A long time ago, they should have started a trust to save this building. It's not just up to taxpayers to save one building. It's up to the community from now on to do that. And I hope this is a good lesson for all of us to learn. And that's my comment.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
I am looking forward to an RFP that will require maintaining the building or renovating the building, restoring the building. I think there are many organizations out there that are better equipped to do this than we are. And as Commissioner Perrine said, this is a very rough budget year, and we cannot allow the building to deteriorate any further.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't fundamentally disagree or philosophically disagree with everything that Commissioner Perrine said. But with that said, what government does is these kinds of projects. We're sitting in one, and this is a special building. Government, everybody chips in to do something that is not necessarily profitable. I hate losing this building. I've said for years, we can't do everything that the residents want us to do with one of the lowest millage rates in the entire county. New Smyrna is unique. It's special. I would very much like to be able to preserve this building. And I can tell you that even though this year was the toughest budget that I've ever seen, they're all tough. There's never $1 million or $2 laying around. You have to beg from Peter to pay Paul. They're all going to be like that. This building was unpopular by some, and it was a very difficult decision and very costly. But in perpetuity and the long term, this is a building that a lot of people in this community be very proud of. And I think that the Women's Club, the historical significance of it and the historical significance of this community is important. And I would love to do something to save that building. And with that said, I recognize that at the public meeting, there's very few people who want the city to spend the money. I recognize that. And in the end, I represent the citizens of this community. We only had 1 or 2 people here tonight. I had a few emails from people. I encouraged them to show up, speak publicly. I didn't get that. So I would very much like to do something tonight that would try to preserve the building. Now, I think it's a little absurd to have an RFP for a private individual to have to build to the historic integrity with all these dynamics. I mean, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, if somebody wants to do that, if somebody's willing to do that, no harm, no foul. So I certainly would support the RFP. Let's put out an RFP and see if we can get a private developer to fund this, to develop it with the historical significance that it has. And, we'll go from there. If no one submits, we move on to another decision.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Hartman.
I agree with everything that's been said here tonight, with the exception that we had no plan. We had a plan, but unfortunately, the timing of the grants, the timing of CIP manager leaving, trying to fill those vacancies, we didn't have the best plan, but we did have a plan. We tried since 2018 to try to get this building renovated, back on the market. But unfortunately, due to a number of, issues and items, COVID, everything else, hurricanes came along, took some of the funding away from it. We didn't get where we wanted to go. To save the building and its historic significance, I think, is very important. I think I certainly don't, as a commission, want to get involved in that process. I think we've spent enough money on it already. I think our private sector can certainly come in here, look at their options, probably do a lot cheaper than what we could do it, even with the numbers that we've seen. So I look forward to that process. The only thing that I would like to add, that if we go through this RFP process, I think we should have a first right of refusal. If that building does get renovated, I don't want them to flip it and put it on the market to somebody else without us having a first right of refusal. In that period of time, we can, get with the community and maybe start a fundraising event or get some corporate sponsors to try to kick in, and we can do something along those lines at some point in time. But, and I'm not saying that that's Mr. Hodges' plan. I'm just saying that I think that would be beneficial to the citizens of New Smyrna Beach to have that refusal, first right of refusal going forward. Whoever looks at it may get into it and just say, it can't be saved, it can't be done. And then, we'll have, like Commissioner McGurk said, we'll just have to weigh those options when that time comes, so.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Citizens that are watching, either in the room or remotely, be comforted that your commission is at work for you. We are stingy when it comes to your tax dollars, and we are mindful that we are a community of heritage and tradition and culture like no other. This is a particularly difficult issue. As you can see, our twitching in our seats trying to make sure we do the absolute right thing and make the absolute right maneuver. The past has been argued over about how we got here, not relevant for the future. Prior to our town hall, we were looking at two options. Because we have such a rich community of people that are givers, we have at least one and maybe other options where someone that has a value, places a value like many of us on historic structures and the heritage of this town would like to take the opportunity to put his money where his mouth is and make this happen for our community. I would like, similar to Commissioner Hartman, who would like to make sure that it's not a flip, and I'm sure it's not, I would like the staff who does the RFP to make it particularly desirable from a zoning perspective, from a constructive perspective, from every possible advantage that we can give anyone who would restore our precious building, give them every advantage and not treat them like they're the outside and we're afraid for being taken advantage of. I think this is a technique that we should embrace should someone want to preserve what we call our heritage and be so precious. And so I leave that in your capable hands, sir. Is there a motion for any of these options from the commission?
I would make a motion to go forward with the RFP, including in the RFP the right of first refusal.
I'd like to add to a short due diligence to that as well.
a short due diligence, and without objection to your motion?
Is that okay?
Commissioner Martin, without objection?
No
Okay,
objection.
that's fine, okay. Anybody else with that?
Clarification is, as part of the RFP, is there going to be the requirement to maintain the historical integrity of the structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that interpretable? Is that interpretive? I think it is, and so I like that, because there's lots of room there. I don't want to require, and you will use oak double-hung, weighted windows, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So as long as there's a lot of wiggle room in there, I like that a lot. Okay, would you restate it one more time, Commissioner Martin, for the record?
I would like to have the staff issue an RFP to potential developers to refurbish to its historic design, and that the RFP or any subsequent sale includes right of first refusal for the city, as well as a short due diligence period.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd
Appreciate
like to
that. Is there a second?
second that.
And there's a second. Any further discussion? Any second thoughts?
And Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before we issue the RFP, what we'll do is we'll have a draft RFP. We'll bring it back to the commission just to make sure, because we would like to put some criteria into the schedule and timing and so forth. So we'll bring it back to you just to review it one more time before we issue it.
Very good. And you hear the haste is requested.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for this. Let's move on to ordinances and second readings and public hearings. Ordinance number 5523 will conduct a second reading and public hearing for an ordinance which, if adopted, would amend Section 8 of the benefit of the personnel policies and procedures of the City of New Smyrna Beach. Madam City Clerk, please read it by title only.
City Attorney. Ordinance number 5523, an ordinance amending the City of New Smyrna Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Appendix A, Personnel Policies and Procedures, Section 8, Benefits, to clarify holiday pay, to increase personal leave for general employees, and to standardize accrual carryovers for all employees, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Director Kidd is at the podium. We're ready for your report, ma'am.
I have nothing to add additional to the report, but I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have regarding this.
Any questions from the dais? Vice Mayor.
So it's my understanding that the IFF local has filed paperwork to renegotiate this?
Correct.
As was designed in the original contract?
That's correct.
Okay. In your opinion, if we leave it as written, would we not be imposing language on them that they've requested to negotiate over?
So the original request from IAFF was for exactly what I have proposed in the ordinance that we presented tonight. In their contract, though, they asked that for a caveat that stated if we didn't make improvements by September 30th, they had the right to come back to the negotiation table for this article only. So I believe that they are using that September 30th date as we didn't make our improvements by that date, even though we have offered to retroactive this to October 1. And I believe that's why that they're asking to go back to the negotiation table for that.
Good enough. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, you opened up a can of worms. I'm very curious now.
So I'll ask. So may I ask the commissioner? So Randy, have we got exposure here?
I think we could, but I don't know. You know, you never really know. You don't know what they're thinking or how they could react or how they could could do this. They've asked to negotiate this particular article in the language, so they're not accepting what we've proposed. So, and then you go and impose that language on them anyway, then you have a possibility of committing an unfair labor practice. So they could file an unfair labor practice, and we could, you know, go through that whole process. So I don't think you've had any meetings yet, so
No.
I don't have any idea where they're headed with this. So,
How about that, city attorney, from an exposure perspective? Any ideas on whether this is wise or whether it should be postponed, or how, you know, have you got a recommendation?
Have you had any discussions with Wayne?
The only discussions were I let Wayne Helsby, our labor attorney, know that they have requested to negotiate this item, and he advised that we should set a date to meet with them and find out what their desires are.
Is he aware of this, that this is being voted on ahead of time? Did he have an opinion about whether we should proceed or not?
I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to, before we ask that question, is the union aware of what this proposal is?
Yes.
Okay, and then go ahead with that one.
Wayne's advice was to move forward with everyone else that's affected by this and negotiate with IAFF.
Got it. So after it's voted on, how's that work, Randy? It's voted on, it becomes our rule, and then we would agree to reopen it, to negotiate it? And does that then set a precedent that, every other group could say, oh, well, me too, me too, me too?
If you don't mind, before you
Go
answer
ahead.
that, by the ordinance tonight only changes our personnel policies and procedures and gives me permission to take an MOU to the other unions. So my understanding is that both IUPA and LIUNA will agree to the MOU. They've seen them. They've been very aware of our meetings that we've had when it's been on the commission, when we separated out the Juneteenth and the holiday, or I'm sorry, the PL. So they're very much in agreement. It would just be the employees covered under IAFF would not get this benefit until negotiation was finished.
Got it. That helps a lot. So just the firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I see the deputy chief has left the building, so I can't punish him any. Okay, very good.
He's not affected by it.
Yeah,
No,
but
He's affected positively.
his team. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Director Kidd? Seeing none, thank you so much, Heather. Appreciate that. Public hearing is now open. Are there any citizens who wish to speak on this issue? Please come forward and be heard.
Cindy Sneezak, 512 Yukon. These questions are from my 25 years working in employee benefits before I then morphed my career to Disney and then the state. But a couple things here. I hope you would ask the question why the record keeping is going down to something as like 15-minute increments. Unless we have the software to make it easier to keep track of little chunks of time like that for time away, for consuming leave, then you should leave it at the half hour or the hour. So that depends on whatever software HR is using, but it seemed kind of strange that that change was in here. The other thing is that the overall outcome here, or the goal, seems to be to increase payments for employees hired after 10/1/2010. And the question I asked of the city manager and the commission, 2 weeks ago was, because none of you were in your positions at the time that the change was made to reduce accruals for new employees, was to look up minutes from the meeting, because I can't get them, they're not online, as to why the commission at that time made that change. And I opined that I suspected it was because businesses stopped doing this 25 to 30 years ago, because they realized how expensive it was to maintain accruals on their books, and they wanted to get it off their books. So I can only suspect that that's why the city did it in 2010. So why would we go in the opposite direction now? Because this would be a significant hit, I believe, on your budget. And I believe that for two reasons. One was in your final budget workshop, the payout that the city manager would receive had to be added as a line item in your budget. It wasn't included in the financials that you were presented. That's what made me uncomfortable, that perhaps we weren't maintaining accruals correctly. Because why else would you have to add the payout as a separate line item? There's something not completing its circle of life here, and I think you have to ask questions about that. And what's really happening here is there's an upsizing of the caps and the payouts. So rather than really look at, one of them is 520 hours, that's 13 weeks, 720 hours, 18 weeks, 880 hours, 22 weeks. Those are your accrual caps that are being proposed here. So if you don't know for certain you have every one of those dollars in your budget, you can't support this tonight, because how are you going to pay for it? The other thing is, I'm not sure why we would upsize everybody's accrue time, especially in this budget year, but just in general. It's perplexing to me. And I did work employee benefits for a long, long time. I've never seen anything like this in today's climate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate that. Hello, Jess.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Jess Romero, 7A Cooper, South Cooper. In regards to this thing here, I realize that it's $40K per year that'll be a fiscal hit to the city. You get to down $9 million here. What is the percentage of this increase yearly for the next 5-10 years? If you approve it today, for this, I believe it's the Juneteenth holiday, is that what we're talking about? No? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry. But Cindy's comment about the payout on there, I work for the federal government. And in the federal government, they have a cap. You can keep your sick leave and get it at the end and get paid out. But that actually accrues to your retirement pay. But you can only carry 240 hours a year, no matter who you are, whether you're SES or a regular employee. 240 hours of annual leave a year is all you can carry. If you use more than that, you lose it. So I agree with her having a cap on individuals so you know what you're going to have at the end of the year. That's all.
Thank you. That other one is coming next, Jess. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Hey, man.
Commissioners, I've never met you guys before. My name is Greg Byers. I work in the Parks Department. And I spoke with Heather on this, and she wanted somebody from the union here to come and represent, so that's one reason why I'm here. So, and I've talked to a lot of the employees on these two items, 9A and 9B, and I mean, whatever you guys could do would be greatly appreciated. Heather talked with me on the FMLA. If somebody was, to go out for a while right now on FMLA, and the way it stands right now, they wouldn't have a whole lot of money banked to save for that, But if this is approved, then, forbid somebody gets hurt or something, they'll have some money saved up for the FMLA, because we can bank some more now and everything, so. And then the other one is June the 10th, greatly appreciated.
Can you lift the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry, Colin. I mean, it'd be greatly appreciated on that too. Like I say, I'm just here to represent the city employees, There's been some changes too, Colin. I don't know if Heather spoke to you or not. There's been a little rearranging in the union and everything, so we're doing some different things in there right now. And but we'd appreciate if you guys would look at this and really consider it, because, I mean, this is a lot of families we're talking about here, a lot of the city employees, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you guys could look at it and let us know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate that. Are there other discussion items or questions that now may have surfaced in your mind? I'll lead. I have one or two. So probably back to Heather and maybe to Khalid or Natalia. What are the financial implications over time for this?
I think it's 40,000.
That's very difficult to make those assumptions to try to figure out what the full cost of that would be. We would have to have an idea of how many employees were leaving, what their years of service are, what their caps are. So I worked with Assistant City Manager Ron Niebert. We worked on some assumptions where we took if this many more employees were to retire or resign throughout the year and they had higher caps, what would it be? And that's part of how we came up with that $40,000 per year number. We don't foresee, based on the trends that we've had, that being a bigger number. We are seeing more and more turnover in every position that we have pretty much in the city, and so we're not seeing as many people staying for those lengths of times where those caps will be what's paid out each time. And so that's what we took into consideration too when we made our estimates for this amount.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Sure.
Remind me what, it may have been in the report, but I can't call it up in my head. Remind me what other cities our size or larger do. Is this the technique they use?
As far as for the estimation?
Yeah, no. For the policy.
Caps?
Yeah.
For the caps, I'd need to pull the item.
So I don't need the are we high, are we low, are we the median?
We're probably on a little bit on the lower end of the middle. I wouldn't say we're at the bottom by any means, but we're right there in the middle of that. There are some cities who still have those big caps, and there are some who have done exactly what we did years ago, where we did reduce the caps so that they could make some changes at that time when we were in different financial positions.
So many cities our size and larger have higher caps.
There are some, yes.
Back to the timekeeping, and I'll surrender to others in just a second. Timekeeping, do we have the timekeeping ability to do?
We do. We actually, that's our current practice, so I'm actually just making the language match our current practice.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions?
Just a quick one, just for clarification. My understanding is that on 5523, staff report says the fiscal impact is estimated at $20,000 for this, but $40,000 for the additional holiday.
That's correct.
So, okay, so I just wanted to clarify. It's, yeah, according to the staff report for this one. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
If I
Yes,
may,
sir.
just to respond to some of the, she mentioned the city manager payout. It was a separate line item. That was at the request of the vice mayor. He wants it as a line item. We didn't have it as a line item. So we did calculate that and we put it as a line item. So that's why it was put there for that purpose. So.
Thank you, and thank you.
And we do have a cap on these, and going back to 2010, what happened in 2010, as you recall, with the economy, a lot of the companies and the cities, they start looking at ways to save. But if you look right now, we're struggling to find employees, quality employees in several departments. And it's because of the incentives that other cities provide. So we had an engineer is leaving, going back to his old job because he's going to be working from home and making substantial money above what he's making today. So these little things, sometimes you heard from the union, it makes a difference to them when you got something like this. So right now it's a difficult time to keep track of somebody hired before 97, somebody after 97, before 2010. So I think make it consistent, and we do have the cap. As a matter of fact, I'm losing quite a bit of my personal time because I couldn't use it before October 10th. So you get the cap, and then you lose whatever. So.
Yeah. I'd also like to, if you don't mind, Mr. Byers spoke about the FMLA. That's a part that is really dear to my heart. Watching how many of our people nowadays have issues that do come up with medical concerns. The way that our caps are structured right now, someone has to work here for 4 years, never take any personal time to have enough hours in their bank to cover an FMLA leave of 12 weeks. And so that's something that I have seen. We've had many people who haven't had any of the hours in there, and they've worked here 5 and 6 years because people are going to take some time off. And so that's a part that also played into this for me, is watching our employees and letting them be able to get that bank to where they can cover if something happens to them or their family.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thanks for the report. Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 5523?
Move to approve.
There's a motion.
Second.
And a second.
I'd like to offer an amendment to exclude those members of that are covered under the International Firefighters Bargaining Unit.
Did you say to exclude them?
Yes.
May I ask for?
That was Wayne's recommendation, right?
Yes, because I will have to approach with each of the unions with the MOU and get their approval.
I get it. And I'll amend my motion to exclude the IAFF.
Same.
Okay,
Second.
so we're going to amend it on the fly. We have approval by the motion maker and a re-second. So now, Madam City Clerk, call the
Do you
roll.
understand?
I get it.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion's going to carry. Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Kidd. Ordinance number 6523, conduct a second reading and public hearing of an ordinance which, if adopted, amends Section 8B, holidays, of the personal policies and procedures for the city of New Smyrna Beach to add Juneteenth as a holiday. Madam City Attorney, please read it by title only.
Ordinance number 6523, an ordinance amending the City of New Smyrna Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Appendix A, Personnel Policies and Procedures, Section 8, Benefits, B, Holidays, to add Juneteenth as a holiday, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. Director Kidd, we're ready for your report on this, please.
Again, I have nothing else to add for the report, but I'm here to answer any questions that I can for you.
And she has supplemental staff report as well that was provided to you previously. So I'm assuming that you have received this, and if you have any questions for Heather or me or the city attorney, we'll be more than happy to answer it.
Okay, and so let us begin. Commissioner Perine.
First question, was this amendment included so that the public sees this on our agenda? The one with the 13 holidays versus 9 holidays? Was that included? And so my concern is we've gotten 2 sets of information concerning these holidays. The first set a few weeks ago was 9 holidays, and it showed us ranking lower. But with this new set, it includes the 4 revolving holidays that I was not aware about, and that ranks us in the top 2 for the amount of holidays that we pay as a city in comparison to all of Volusia County. So a little different. So I'm glad we broke this away from the other ordinance, because you're talking low to middle on the other one. In this one, I don't foresee anyone complaining that that they're not going to come to work for us for 13 holidays versus 14. That's a lot coming from the corporate world. We were lucky to get 6. So it is a very, very important holiday, but we have Veterans Day and a few other holidays as this, I used the wrong word, floating. Thank you. And I question, can we add this to the floating because of the $40,000 expense that's in our budget? Celebrate the Juneteenth as a community, because I've received a couple of emails from citizens saying we don't have the food trucks or anything right now celebrating like we do Veterans Day, and open that up for our budget and do it in steps. This year, we look at doing something for the community before we offer it to the city employees, and then we will review this again in the next year, and then see if more cities actually not celebrate, but use this as a floating or an actual closure of the city, because that is a big expense to close the city when we're already ranked 2nd in floating holidays of all of Volusia County.
Sure.
Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, I'm echoing Commissioner Perine. and saying, let's push Juneteenth to another year. The 40K hit is really tough this year. And, I know some of our employees are deeply affected by this day, and perhaps they could use one of their floating holidays to celebrate and observe.
Commissioner McGurk.
I'm going to echo the same sentiment. They can use a floating holiday for anyone who wants to use it, and we can address this issue in the future going into next year.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Hartman.
Yeah, so when this was originally presented, it didn't include the floating holidays, and that's why I specifically asked about that. Because when you look at the comprehensively, we're in the top 2 as opposed to the middle or the lower middle of it. So I think, in my opinion, we're at that level where we're competitive with other cities, where we ought to be. Negotiations will start in 18 months, I think, for the next contract year. We made great strides 2 years ago to do some of the capping, issues that we had, where we had ceilings, with employees. We raised everybody the $15, early. We didn't drag it out until, next year like we could have. So I think we took great strides when we negotiated the last contract. I would prefer that we just do this during a negotiation period. That was one of the reasons that a lot of people went to the floating holiday because, for me, it'd be 9/11. For PD, it may be something else. Maybe your birthday. Everybody has a different feeling or a time that they think they want to have off or something. So with the floating holidays, that gives you that flexibility, and you have that option to take it, whenever you want through the year, so you're not committed to, a certain time. It also stretches the impact of the budget out the entire year, and where it's not going to fall on the same day every year. So I think with the 4 floating holidays, just my opinion, but I think we're at a comfortable level. I certainly hope the employees understand that and, look forward to the negotiations. There's a lot of other language in here that could kind of be addressed at that time to make it a little more easier to understand. So certainly, I think we're at an adequate level at this time.
Okay.
The thing I didn't hear was is it the staff's recommendation to approve up to 13? Is that your recommendation?
I brought this forward because the union asked for it during negotiations at the same time that IAFF asked for the personal leave changes. I asked both unions at that time to withdraw both of their proposals so that I could bring everything together. In looking at our total, I don't think anyone thinks that the city doesn't offer enough. And within that time frame that we were considering bringing the personal leave and that, we also had our diversity and inclusion committee also suggested to city manager that we look at Juneteenth as something to bring forward. So Khalid and I discussed that, and we felt like it was something that we would bring to the commission and let it be your will as to whether we approved it or not.
As a leader on our staff and a professional in HR, what's your advice?
My advice would be I would follow Vice Mayor Hartman and use that during negotiations.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Just for the record, as a comparator, I look to Port Orange, Ormond Beach, DeBerry, Deltona, and don't, as a comparator, I don't think Edgewater, Holly Hill, Ponce Inlet, and Daytona Beach Shores are similar in size or scope or rewards, and so I favor the analysis that others on the dais have offered. Any closing remarks, City Manager?
No, Mayor, but as Heather mentioned, this was brought up to, as you know, I have a diversity inclusion committee from the employees for the past almost 2 years, and we meet bi-monthly. That was brought by some of the members with the committee, and so we were looking at the personal leave, so we figured that we put that 2 of them. However, knowing what's going on with this budget, and what's coming up, my recommendation would be to just use for now the one of the floating holidays. And it's something we could look at whether during negotiations or for the years to follow.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Are there any members of the public? The public hearing is now open. Are there any members, any citizens or residents who would like to speak on this issue? If so, please come forward and be heard.
Still at 512 Yukon, Cindy Cezak. I can't pull it up fast enough, but the documents that were on the table outside, I can't find them on what was posted in the packet. And I have a concern for that. I have a concern for you for that. And I appreciate your explanation about the IT thing. I think I know what that software is. But, so that was great. I appreciate you closing the loop. But I know you don't have to post every single thing, but it changed the picture completely, I think, for you to know that it wasn't just the holidays, but it's the personal days. And you really do consider that as a bucket, and I'm glad to hear you acknowledge that. So you just want to be careful that what is posted is really the meat of what gets discussed. The other thing is I heard 40,000 jumped around. In the last week, it was 40,000 was a broad estimate, but it was for Juneteenth. Okay, that's not the cost of the increased caps on personal leave. That's something separate. So we're not having a dialogue. Don't get me in trouble or you in trouble. And I also remember that Heather made the caveat that 40,000 broad brush, which there really shouldn't be any such thing as a broad brush when it comes forward to you to agree to it, was not inclusive of fire and police costs because you have to have coverage on the shifts. It's not like everybody can just take that day off. So, and I don't remember, I did know this number. Let's say you have 300 employees in the city, and I don't know if I'm in the ballpark on that or not, but if you had 300 employees, 8 hours a day, they could get paid $20 an hour. That's $48,000 before you even put in the overtime cost, the time and a half that you have to pay in addition to holiday pay for another holiday. So it sounds like you're going to not go with this right now, but I urge you to have staff do a little more comprehensive reporting to you in their staff report so that you really do know what the true numbers are that you're dealing with when you're saying yes or you're saying no to something. And I say that with all due respect. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Are there any others? Mr. Romero.
Jess Romero, 708, South Cooper. Yes, in regards to the $40,000 impact of the Juneteenth holiday, as you go forward with the union, let's keep in mind that this year you had a very rough budget, as most of you said. You'll have money that you don't have, but you got to cut things down here. Now, as our city grows, when I got here, I think we were at 25,000 in 19. Now we're at 32,000. That's a short period of time that we've grown. And as we look forward in 18 months, like Randy said about negotiating, you may be at 35, 40,000. I think in the next three or 4 years, it can be at 50,000. So now, as you look at this $40,000 cap, supposedly, for funding for the budget there, the city's going to grow at least 20%, 20 to 40% in the next 4 to 5 years. That means you can have more employees in the city. That means that cap is going to go higher. You can look at $80,000 possibly in the next 4 to 5 years. So as you look at this, think of the future. Right now, a lot of questions have been told about 2018 when the Women's Center was bought out and going to repair it, not repair it. Talked about 2010. So there's a lot of things done in the past that some of you are paying for now. So when you do this contract, think of the future. You may not be here, you may be here, I may not be here. But if you look at that, think of the future in the next 5, 10 years, how it will affect people and the budgets. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, sir. Appreciate that. Any other comments? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. Are there any other follow-up comments from any commissioner?
just wanted to point out, city, there were two different dollar figures used. I'm not disputing what you say, but just to clarify, the first one was 20,000, the second one for the Juneteenth was 40,000. So I'm just clarifying those two differences.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 6523?
Motion to approve ordinance 6523.
There's a motion and a
Second.
second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perrine?
No.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
No.
Commissioner Martin?
No?
Mayor Cleveland?
No. The motion is failed. Okay, on to ordinances for the first reading. These are groups of 3 of annexation ordinances under the first reading for the properties located at 1309 Findley Street, 1631 Martin Dairy Road, and the property on Dolores Street. City Attorney will read each of the ordinance for the first time by title only. Second readings of the public hearing will be conducted on October 24th, 2023 at the regular City Commission meeting. Madam City Attorney.
Ordinance number 6623, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing .12 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Findley Street, west of Old Mission Road, addressed as 1309 Findley Street, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 6723, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .12 plus or minus acres of land located on the north side of Findley Street, west of Old Mission Road, addressed as 1309 Findley Street, from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 6823, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .12 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Findley Street, west of Old Mission Road, addressed as 1309 Findley Street, from Volusia County R4A urban single-family residential airport overlay to city R2A single-family residential airport overlay zoning district, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 6923, an ordinance of the city, and the last one's second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 6923, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing 3 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Martins Dairy Road, north of Turnbull Bay Road, addressed as 1631 Martins Dairy Road, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 3, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 7023, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of 3 plus or minus acres of land located on the east side of Martins Dairy Road, north of Turnbull Bay Road, addressed as 1631 Martins Dairy Road, from Volusia County rural to city rural, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 7123, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 3 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Martins Dairy Road, north of Turnbull Bay Road, addressed as 1631 Martins Dairy Road, from Volusia County A3A Transitional Agriculture Airport Overlay to City A3A Transitional Agriculture Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 7223, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing .6 plus or minus acres of property located on the west side of Dolores Street, north of Page Avenue, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 4, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 7323, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .6 plus or minus acres of land located on the west side of Dolores Street, north of Page Avenue, from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023. Ordinance number 7423, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .6 plus or minus acres of property located on the west side of Dolores Street, north of Page Avenue, from Volusia County R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be October 24th, 2023.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that long list. Let's move on to boards and commissions. Item number 11A is the Police Pension Board, considering of the appointment. Madam City Clerk, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. Good evening. At the time that the agenda was published, I had one application, and that was from Ron Niebert. I received an application yesterday evening from a citizen. Both applicants are qualified. They fit both of the seats. The two vacancies there are on the Police Pension Board currently are for citizens of New Smyrna Beach who are not plan participants in the pension plan for fire or police. At this time, it's not written on my report because I did receive that application last night, which I've passed out. It's up to commission to consider that application for appointment. I would recommend appointing both applicants since there are two vacancies on there at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. And we've had the chance to read both of their resumes in short order here because we got those recently. So it's your desire that we appoint two rather than one.
That's correct. We have two vacancies on there. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So, is there discussion about these two positions?
So I'm going to add, to me, it's the elephant in the room. Assistant City Manager being on the Police Pension Board. Anything unusual about that? Anything, I know we've had employees and staff members on it in the past. The commission used to serve on this. And we got away from the commission for various reasons. Is there any kind of conflict of interest?
There is no conflict of interest, and also we had an employee from finance just resigned a few months ago. So there's no conflict of interest whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
And square me away on this, city clerk. Isn't there? There is another employee. It's a member of the police force is on this as well, right?
Okay, so there are two seats that are occupied by members of the police department staff. One of the two seats expired on October 1st. Right now, I believe that they've completed their internal elections today. What they do is they conduct internal elections when one of their seats are up, and then they give that name. They submit it to the city clerk's office, and we go ahead and update the roster. That is those two positions on both boards. When it deals with interdepartmentally, they're not approved by commission. They just are approved by a majority of those department staff. The three that you would be approving or appointing are the two residents, as well as there's a fifth position on each board that's chosen by the remaining four members, and I bring that appointment consideration request from the pension boards to commission to approve.
Very good. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Are there other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Not really. I mean, I share the uncomfort or discomfort with having our assistant city manager sitting on the board where there could potentially be, some negotiating or just other discussion. But That being said, certainly we have two well-qualified candidates, and I am sure if somebody, I'd love to see somebody with real financial expertise come in, but that's not an option we have right now. So I'm willing to certainly support both applicants.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir. Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve Palmer Wilson and Ron Nybert for the Police Pension Board.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Was there a second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Second.
Okay, very good. A
Thank you.
motion and a second. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Preen?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Mr. Niebert and Mr. Wilson. The City Clerk's office will be in touch and giving you official notice. On to the, consider the appointment of an elected official to serve as a member of the First Step Shelter. Madam City Attorney, have you got something on that?
Yes, at the City of Daytona Beach's first meeting of this month, they did adopt a resolution appointing a member of the City Commission of the City of New Smyrna Beach to the First Step Shelter Board. At this point, we need to vote amongst the commission as to which member will serve in that role. And I'm pulling up the meeting dates that we received from the Victoria Fallberg.
More important, who has an interest?
So I think Valley might have brought this forward, so I would nominate Commissioner Perrine, and we can have a discussion or not.
I'll second that.
Okay, anybody else have any interest in that? Okay, very good. Is there a motion to appoint Commissioner Perrine to serve as the New Smyrna Beach member of the First Step Shelter Board?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Perrine, we didn't let you speak because we want you to accept, and so we're delighted that you're willing to serve.
And she mentioned that the meetings are on Mondays at 4:30, so. They
Thank
meet
you.
at-
Thanks for that, guys. It's near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
We'll give you the
Thank you for
address
bringing that
for
to
the
us.
meeting as well.
Okay, on to the mayor and commission reports at this time, and we'll start with the vice mayor.
So I last week attended the county council meeting with the discussion of the Transform 386, which is the federal funds, some $38 million that they received for that. Ron was there with us, so was Chris, along with the Housing Authority. The county council passed that resolution, so we kind of did our pitch for our project that we have going forward on it. There were several criteria. We met 3 or 4 of the criteria that they were looking for. So hopefully going forward, that would be a positive outcome for the Housing Authority to not rebuild, but completely demolish and replace what they call their Live Oak unit, which was about 40 units, built back in the early 50s, or late 50s. So they were all damaged by the last hurricane. So we're looking forward to that. Attended the PD open house. I saw Chief making a great burger out there. I told him the only thing that he needed to be a true firefighter was to have a recliner with him. So, but he did his best. He was a man in the grill and did a great job out there. There was quite a few people out there, and a big presence by the police department. So thank you for doing that. If you haven't seen their shooting simulator, I would encourage you to try to get their, make arrangements to go see that. I mean, it's quite impressive how they can do that, how they train their officers, and you know what to look for. It's all done with lasers and digital, so they can create scenarios as they go along. It was a pretty fantastic presentation that they put forth, so I thank them for that. And it's pink out month, so you don't just have to wear pink tonight, you have to wear it all month long, so.
Thank you, Mr.
Spoken like a true firefighter. Well done. Commissioner McGurk.
Chief, my deepest sincere apology for missing the open house. I had every intention. I don't know what happened on this Saturday, but I had a million things to get to. The first thing I had was a fundraiser, and I didn't get out of here until about 2:30, so I truly am sorry for missing that. I wish I did. Did we get to play on the simulator, Commissioner Hartman?
I did not.
Okay. So, I brought up during my agenda briefing with Khalid. I hope staff can get a hold of Will Roberts to give a brief presentation on the next meeting. Has that been any time to get that done, or is it still?
I'm going to try to bring him at the next city commission meetings.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's on there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
Just a quick question. Is it possible to make annexations administrative, or do they have to
No,
stay?
it's per Florida statutes. There's requirements.
Okay, okay. Let's see, and I know we're going to be thinking about Smith Street, so I wanted to know, when it comes forward, I would like to see the ROI, our return on investment, for demolishing and cleaning the land prior to putting up for sale. Would the value increase cover the costs, including staff time and multiple RFPs? Then BPAC and TPO, the Transportation Planning Organization, they do have the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and I don't believe we have a representative on it now, and I do have a citizen who is willing to serve. She's currently on the Community Engagement and Enhancement Committee, but has volunteered to be the BPAC representative. How do we go about making that happen, hopefully?
Well, we could bring it at the next city commission meeting as an agenda item.
We have a member.
On the BPAC?
Yeah.
Who?
I can't think of his name right now, but hasn't missed a day.
Okay, I was told that we didn't have anybody on BPAC or on the Citizen Advisory, on CAC.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I think we need to share it with the rest of city staff.
I did. I told you I appointed David McKenna to the Citizens Board.
That's what I thought.
And the bicycle one was already there when I got appointed to TPO, so.
Who's the bicycle?
I'll have to look it up, and I can send you an email, and you can share it with everybody.
My bad, Commissioner Martin.
It's okay. Okay. Again, for probably future discussion, reminder that we have about 15 boards, many of which seem to be flailing, and I'd like to know when we can have a discussion about how and why boards are established, with what purpose. You know, we really need to talk about this, because we are just chomping down staff time, and I'm not sure that we're getting there.
We have a workshop planned.
And we mentioned during the briefing as November the 21st
No, I don't think
is
I
the
got that
workshop.
one.
And
Okay.
the city clerk will be meeting with the department heads to talk about exactly what they're looking for from the board. So this
Perfect.
way she'll have a full report for you.
Okay, I know a number of us wanted to chip in and pay for the advertisement for the Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, and I just haven't seen anything, so I'm looking for the
Yeah,
status
I'm
on
gonna
that.
send you to the commission tomorrow morning, the flyer that we prepared for it.
Perfect. Let's see, I would like two others. Beachside revenue for maintenance, okay. In Volusia County, right, the area around the vehicle on-ramps, beachside vehicle on-ramp areas take quite a beating, not just in New Smyrna Beach, all through the Volusia County area. We've got increase in police and fire staff demands, we've got more trash, we've got road wear and tear. I would like to work with other beach commissioners across Volusia County to find a way for the county to find a way to give us some compensating funds to help us take care of the wear and tear that we we lived through and we've been historically paying for. I don't know how we'd get it done, but I'd like to work with the other beach commissioners in an effort to find a way to get some compensation to help us keep up the area.
Any clue, Colin, how we might get
My
there?
suggestion, Commissioner Martin, is that I would recommend that you meet with the county council member representing this area first. And then you could say that we were working on a group of commissioners or a group of elected officials from beach communities.
So you want the county prior to the beach communities?
That would be my suggestion.
We'll talk later, okay? Thank you. And then the last one I have is, I'm eager to take advantage of training opportunities to help me become a better commissioner. And for those of us who didn't know enough to request funding for the Florida League of Cities opportunities during the budget planning cycle, how can we finance attendance in fiscal '24?
And if you wanted to attend anything for the Volusia League of Cities, then we'll provide it for you.
Okay, so for example, the legislative conference coming up in November.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Perrine.
Mayor, if I may?
Sir?
Nick Mostert. Mostert?
M-O-S-T-E-R-T?
M-O-S-T-E-R-T, and he's been on since 2015.
He used to have Sea Dogs Dive Shop. Been on. Thank you.
All right, from the archives. All right, Commissioner Perrine.
So I'd like to give a report on Friday, the Florida League of Cities Legislation Committee that I attended. We had about 6 bills that we wanted to review, and I was able to have the opportunity to meet with Carrie and also Khalid concerning what bills would impact our city the most of the 6. And they guided me gently, and it was really nice to be able to vote. Unfortunately, the 2 that we all chose as being very helpful for our city, one being a voice for also DeBerry and several others about the Live Local. And that was something that will definitely impact us in other cities, but that wasn't one of the 2 that got nominated or voted on. The other one was the Burt Harris in the shade meetings. And the 2 that did get voted on was sovereign immunity and also mobility, which won't impact us because we already have that according to Carrie. So we don't know if it was because of the smaller cities or what, but those are the 2 legislation bills that are going to be worked on, tweaked, and the sovereign immunity, I believe, is a defense type to possibly look at the language of that and tweak it a little bit. So it'll be fun to see that. And as Commissioner Martin said, I did sign up for the legislation because I'm actually committed, to those. And that meeting is November 30th. Registration is $300 without the hotel, but I just plan on driving up for the day and back, possibly, unless I want to book some of the other meetings. There's quite a few meetings that go with that. And then the only other thing that I wanted to talk about was the boards. Again, I want to also discuss what Commissioner Martin just said. We have had in all of our meetings topics with the 15 to 18 boards or however many they are. I requested that before we have that meeting, November 21st, that we review what these boards' accomplishments have been in the past year. And it sounded like I needed consensus to get that.
So typically, the advisory boards provide an annual report to the City Commission. On that, their objectives, goals, and achievements are listed. Right now, until we review the boards, that's kind of pushed off, but they do typically provide that annually to Commission. It hasn't been part of what's listed in their resolutions. It's just something that the chair would share, what they've been through. They take all of their meetings and they share the information with the members of commission during their report. So it's not something that we would include on our website. It's not part of Granicus, just their objectives and goals are what's in the resolution.
I think that it's important we at least know for the newbies what these boards have accomplished, though, you know, because I have no idea. I can't get that from online, and to request that, I believe you said, you know, would we go to the board itself? We could ask the boards to provide that information, or the director.
Can I understand this a little more clearly? I think what you're asking is, what is it that the boards have accomplished, and maybe in the workshop that could come out, as a group, what have all the boards done? What have they done? And maybe in the workshop, we would set up a periodic, quarterly, every 6 months, every annually, to have a better input and have better visibility right here in this room. Have the chairman come up and say, here's the things that we've done. And I think that all can be accomplished in the workshop. The second thing I think I heard you ask for was a better background profile of the candidate. Is that right? I think that could also be, yes. We get the lawyer's advice about what we're allowed to do, and I think that could also be done at the workshop just for specificity. The main thrust is how we use the boards and make them as effective as they can be and not waste their time or our time. And I think the city clerk and the city manager under the previous commission whittled down the boards to the ones we have. And then we may find that we want to do even more if we don't find that they're productive. Rather than punish anybody who has stepped forward, Commissioner Hartman always reminds me, people are giving of their own time and their own effort rather than have them feel bad about, oh, they're getting rid of me, or they don't want me anymore, they don't want our group anymore. We have to eloquently do that, and so that no one is insulted. But I am very afraid that I don't want to waste anybody's time. They're going to step forward once and say, I'll help you guys out. But if we waste their time, they won't come back.
Could I just chime in for a second here? I think it's important to start from the beginning and ask the department head what kind of citizen assistance would be of most benefit to you. And that means that we have a purpose for a board before we start setting it up. The annual report back to the commission makes sense. But I think we have to decide why we have the boards. And if the boards are to help staff, then staff should help us figure out what they want the board to do.
So I think you're getting a little bit of input about what we'd like to see at the workshop, and so you come prepared for that.
Yeah. That's what I mentioned, that she's going to meet with all the department heads and gets exactly what type of help they need and what type of board that they would like to see and work with. The only thing is I want to mention, since we're talking about the boards, if I may, Mayor, the Economic Development Board. We're excited we got them back on track. I want to continue with that because, as I mentioned, hopefully soon we'll probably present for you what we're working on west of 95. So they have a scheduled meeting coming up, and I would like to continue with that. I don't want to stop at this point. So that's an Economic Development Board that I think we need to put it back on track, and I think we're excited to move it forward. So.
I agree with that. And I noticed that from the ordinance, it had a lot of varying information of who does what. Like for the Economic Development Board, I've read where the city commission establishes the meetings, and I read where the city manager establishes the meetings. And in my mind, I thought the director did that. Being on that board for 4 years, I had no idea that it wasn't the director that didn't establish the Economic Development Board meetings, because we always discussed it during those meetings. So we need some clarification. And when I ask these things about what are the board's accomplishments, what do they do, I can read the objectives online, I've read them, but I can't read what the accomplishments are, and I know I can't ask staff to do this. So that's why I said, do we can't have a consensus, or what other cities do with these boards? How many boards do all of these other cities, just like Human Resources provided us with all of the Volusia County cities. How many boards do they have? And what's their structure? Can we best practice this? So those are the kind of questions I'm going to be asking during the workshop, and I don't want you guys to say, I don't have those answers, and then we have to delay this again because another 3 months until we can all meet again on a special meeting. Whether it's a special meeting or a special workshop, we can vote if it's a special meeting and do some of these things. A workshop we can't. Special meeting. So these things are important. I'm not going to ask Kelly to do all this if we don't have a consensus on what do these boards do? What are their accomplishments?
Okay, yeah, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
No, I have something else that's not related to boards.
Okay,
so-
let's do let's do, all right, in a minute, let's do the board thing, because I sense that the staff would like consensus before they jump around. Let me try it easy way first. Without objection, I would like the staff to go for, without objection, I'd like the staff to go forward with the initiatives we've discussed and have it prepared. Anybody object to that? Okay, very good, thank you. Any more from your report, ma'am?
I did enough damage.
No, that's good enough. Vice Mayor.
So just on a legislative note, I saw the other day where a bill's been introduced to term limit municipal government. I don't think there's a companion bill yet, but there is one out there that will limit our terms at a municipal level. So that may be something you want to look for.
Coming to a theater near you. Very
Yes.
nice. Okay. First, I would like to thank the city staff for allowing this time, which has not been capable of being done. It's 9:21, and usually we're still in the midst of things, and we sprint to give our two most top important things. And I think for those in the room, all 6 of you, and for those watching and playing this on tape, this part of the meeting has a value. So I want to thank you guys for making this possible, and please do it again. The Vice Mayor and I had the opportunity to thank Sandra Smith, who leads the P&Z, and we were able to give her a memento from the city for her years of service. She will have termed out, and I'm grateful for having had that opportunity. Colin and I attended the Volusia County Roundtable of elected officials, as we do quarterly or bi-monthly. And he mentioned it, but I wanted to give you a little more detail since we have the time. You know, we have this awesome director, Jessica Fentress, who handles all things involving the beach, and she might be a place where we could start with the beach access cleanup. That's one idea, in addition to Danny Robbins. But just to hear this out, after Nicole and Ian, 36 of 41 walkovers for all the Volusia County beaches were open. Only 36. 2 out of 17 parks, 4 out of 37 ramps, and a total damage of $30.6 million. As of September 15th, 107 of the 141 walkovers are open. 16 of the parks are open, 16 of 17. And all the vehicular ramps have been reestablished. She has a passion for her job and really is concerned about our beaches and is doing a phenomenal job. So if you get the chance, there's an opportunity to really engage and praise a public servant that does well. She always picks up the phone when our city manager has a question and gets to the bottom of the answers right away, and I'm always grateful for that. Just so you know, what we learned at that meeting was there will be a dredging project. They're going to redredge the inlet and accompanying waterways nearby at the end of 2024. So it's time again to do that. That's a huge undertaking for
Quick
all of us.
question on that. Are they planning on are they going to put the sand on the island?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to need to have, one of the problems we had in the past is they did it at night. And my whole neighborhood lost their mind because it was all the beeping all night long.
Because of the pump.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have tractors that move around the sand at night.
You bet.
At least they did, so we need to stop that and at least not having the tractors. The pumping, not as big a deal. It was all the beeping of the tractors moving around sand.
Got it. Signs up that say brought to you by Jason McGurk. Very good. All right, good note, Eric Collin. We have a new emergency management director, county emergency management director, a gentleman by the name of Clint Meekum, who comes from the Midwest with a fire department background, a firefighter for a gazillion years in the Midwest, and gave a brilliant report, very, very satisfying as he learns hurricanes. Briefly, we talked about the federal feasibility study, which sounds like a study, but it's really money. It's a couple $100 million that's available to each municipality over and over again. You just have to keep applying. And I think, Colin, we're doing that now. We've discovered that from Nancy Miller from the Shores, who said, hey, check this out, and you just apply until the money's all gone. It's a federal program, and the bar is low, and we can get some money there, and we're doing that. In case nobody knows that we're doing it, I wanted all the residents to know. There's a conversation that was going on this week about Reed Patillo Elementary School and the potential for it closing. And that's in our town, one of 3, and it's at 225 students. It's a small school, and it seems that the school board is focused on efficiency of delivering the product over maybe potentially over the quality of the education. And so there's going to be an uprising. I think I don't know if I think it was tabled for tonight and was not brought up.
The item was removed.
Okay. Very good. And so if it gets a little any more legs, I think you're going to hear the residents, and so maybe we as the commission should do something official in statement-wise to the
Mayor,
school
just
board.
as
Yes,
for
sir.
the record, if
Yeah.
I may, I don't think it was the board. I think it was the administration or the staff for the school board who put the item on. So it looks like when I was watching the meeting that the board was not really aware of the item, or if they are, they're not really aware of it, or they're involved in putting the item in. So just want to make sure that it's not the actual board, it's the staff.
Right, it was staff put up. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say, I was at a meeting in 2018 when they had not quite finished Chisholm, and they were trying to decide whether to close down Reed Patillo, and that's obviously been enough years that particular oral history is gone. But I can say that Reed Patillo community is fierce, and they are connected, and you don't want to take them on because they love each other and they love that school.
Yeah, that's a fact. The teachers there love it. They want to be there. They know their students by name. They know their birthdays. They know a lot of things about their students. And the building is in sad shape. It's 65 years old and needs help. And that may have been forcing why this was going down that path. It'd probably be a big expense to bring it up to standard. Is there any energy in this room from us to in short, to amend the timing of the commencement of the CRA meeting? The CRA meeting right now is at 6:20. And so what I experience is people coming in during our deliberations to get prepared for the 6:30 meeting. So it's usually disruptive, and some of the people that came earlier are confused why they don't know which meeting they're at. Is there any energy, and maybe those that have come before us will have guidance here, on having it maybe 10 minutes prior to that, like 6:10, so that we are done? And usually it's a short meeting, but having it bump right up against the city commission meeting seems disruptive to me. Is there any history lessons from what you've done before? I've talked to the city manager. He's been beaten up for both ways, where we had it too early and too late, and no energy for him to opine, but I'd love to hear from you guys.
What are you saying, 10 minutes? I don't think it makes a difference. I'm not going to complain that we're here 10 minutes or, having 10 minutes to greet people walking in saying hi.
Just seems
is
so
fine
orderly,
anyway.
so much more orderly is where I'm headed.
So, it's fine.
I just need to know if it conflicts with when we have the workshop before the CRA, before the meeting.
Let's not try to do that, yeah. We don't like the 3 meetings, like the 2 meetings. Randy, you know?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Without objection, let's change the time.
6:10?
Please. The chief's in the room, and there was some discussion about the Christmas parade, and I know that's kind of gone, and the liability for candy throwing. And you've had a conversation, and the fence idea to keep the kids from running under the vehicles is very expensive, so we couldn't afford that. So we're going to stop pelting people with candy. And then we thought, oh, wait a minute. Commissioner McGurk is always going to throw candy regardless of what we tell him.
She's
so we
going to
don't
have to arrest me.
Yeah. So I think we're coming to a place, if the city attorney can stand the liability for kids running under vehicles, we'll
Here is
we'll keep
the
doing
final
it.
decision I have discussed with the chief yesterday, and so the final decision is I want to ride out this Christmas parade this year as is, with throwing the candy from the floats, and then that gives us a whole year for next year to think about whether we want to put it in the budget, put a fence, and then come up with some other options. So we're moving forward as is right now. So
Well, I'm glad to hear that, but I will tell you this. If you take away that whole element of the parade, you're going to see a lot of people not show up for the parade.
I already have-
Kids will get restless, they're going to get bored. It's what keeps them engaged.
So my question is it our parade or is it the Chamber's parade?
it's our parade.
It's our parade.
Okay. Then why is the Chamber the master of ceremonies? They're always in the lead vehicle. They're the ones who are out there organizing the floats.
Really?
I think it's ours because we're the one who puts stuff out, but maybe they help out, so we'll find out for you.
They participated in helping the city organize
help us.
it, but I don't think it was ever theirs.
All right. Very good. That's interesting. Okay. Is there any, okay, so thank you for talking about that. There was an elephant in the room and certainly a discussion of the Cleveland family, because I was going to be removed from the float and be walking alongside handing candy. I was voted off the island. So anyway, I talked to both the city attorney and the city manager about our RFPs and a bias for local vendors. And an example that has been given is that there, on some score sheets in other municipalities, there were points given to local vendors to give them an edge over a bigger firm somewhere outside the city limits. And so, I can't do any directing. It's the will of us. And so, is there any energy for points added for a local vendor on an RFP? And before I ask you, Carrie, have I explained it properly? You'd want the commission to offer that, or have you researched how to do that?
Yeah, it's not as cut and dry as that. It would take some research. At this point, with my schedule, I would set a time frame expectation, like first quarter 2024 kind of thing. But it's not it sounds great, but there are drawbacks and things that we don't think about when we talk about it. It sounds good in concept. There are drawbacks. I would want you all to be properly briefed after some thorough research to get back to you guys on.
That's a good idea.
Thanks, and I'm sensitive to your load, so first quarter sounds wonderful. Without objection, that will be the direction. Okay, very good. I had the opportunity to, and I do every second or third week, to meet with the Southeast Volusia mayors and city managers at a breakfast, and today Commissioner or Councilman Robbins attended, and it's a good opportunity for us to watch others that are going through the same struggles that are our neighbors to the north and to the south, and then have the county guy there to talk about a bigger perspective. And so they're obviously wrestling with budget issues at the county level, Mayor Gibson just got a new city administrator, so he's feeling a lot better about what's going on there. And Mayor Depew is, he's a student of what we're about. He's a student of government and learning quickly how to legislate as a 19-year-old, which is an amazing feat to me. So, and I do that periodically along with the city manager. It's very helpful for me to observe other city managers and the problems that they have, and the other mayors interact with their city managers. Daytona Beach has opened up an esplanade on Beach Street, their main drag in there. It's a $33 million project funded entirely by the Brown & Brown Insurance Company. I was there with the mayor of Daytona opening up the south end of the esplanade. It's an amazing site. If you haven't been up to Daytona Beach, our neighboring city, and you've not been there at Christmas time, it's a phenomenal site and a great outpouring of regeneration of a blighted area, a great CRA project in itself. But this is a privately funded riverfront park which goes 25 acres up and down Beach Street in Daytona Beach along the Halifax River. I've been meeting, I have a drumbeat meeting with the City of Daytona Beach city manager and business leaders in Daytona. And what I learned is that their police force is struggling mightily to man up, to get folks manned in their ranks. To that end, they have offered the largest incentive package in the county and are trying to recruit away many. So we just, we need to be mindful that we've got a great police chief, and he's keeping our ranks full. I may want to reconsider my vote on the Shark Bite half marathon. After reading the literature online, I feel like the whole business plan that the organizers have is to not disturb the city, but to do something picturesque at the beach at sunrise. It's run at sunrise in the morning, down Flagler, over the big bridge, through Canal, and absent the objection that we may or may not hear from residents and businesses, I'd love to have this gentleman come back and resubmit. Wanted that on the record. Lastly, I had the opportunity to do a Smyrna Cares event at the River Park Terrace, benefiting Habitat for Humanity. They sold art and gave the money to Habitat, all part of the Smyrna Cares program. There's a video coming out about all the good that they're doing around town. Thank you for that extended time. I appreciate that. Madam City Clerk.
Mayor, were you going to bring up the Volusia delegation?
Yes, that is
Asking for an amendment to DeBerry's request?
Yeah. Khalid, you will explain it better than I will about the Carmen's request over in DeBerry.
The bill that I guess the city of DeBerry is concerned about, it has to do with development on property, and if they have over a certain percentage that is supposed to be affordable housing, that they will get tax credit. So they have a large piece of properties that it's potentially to be developed, that based on his calculations, they would lose as a tax revenue almost $1.5 million. So he was concerned about that, and his background is IRS. He brought it to the city manager's meeting on the 28th of September, and then also he spoke at the round table about that. So right now he's getting up. I think either he is going to be before the county council or he did already. I'm not sure at this point, but And I gave it to Commissioner Perrine to bring it up at her Florida Legislative Committee that she had last Friday. And then she will tell you about the committee, but that's the major concern is if you have, I think it was, I want to say 40% of affordable housing, that they will get like up to 75% of tax credit. So I think they're trying to, we mentioned to Commissioner Perrine, I think through Katie, that let's increase, I guess, up to, what is it? We said 35, maybe up to 50 even, but I'll have Commissioner Perrine mention about her legislative.
So at the Florida League of Cities, I did bring this up to Carmen and also to the chair of our legislation committee, and I requested that it would be 50,000 threshold to include our city with this as well. But unfortunately, this wasn't one of the bills that got selected. So that's what I had mentioned in my report. I was hoping for Live Local Act, which is also DeBerry's push. So they're going to have to go other means without the Florida League of Cities. But he did say the 50,000 citizen threshold would be negotiable. And I said, well, I would think that we would be able to help support that if we could get that threshold up, because we'd like to be included in that. And they both said at the same time that that is something negotiable. But it was something that I was hoping that we could tweak in legislation. So it's going to have to come another way.
Did the League of Cities give a reason why they did not pick that?
It was a vote. There were 50 of us. There's 420 cities and 50 on that legislation, and we voted. And
The cities voted for it?
The cities voted for mobility and sovereign immunity and not Live Local. And the largest person there to give us a whole summary was this entire thing from DeBerry. And he gave a great presentation. It spent an hour and a half going through lobbying for it. And then the other lobby the biggest was historic preservation in Miami. Mayor and commissioner was trying to put that bill back through again, and it didn't pass either. So it was the two, but they can still fight. You don't need Florida League, but it...
I understand. I asked because my experience with the league has been a love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I got off some of their committees that wouldn't serve because the choices they were making, the fact that you say you voted on it
I did.
as cities, that's
did.
great. That's good to hear, because previously on some of the committees that I served on,
Yes.
we didn't vote, and it was already done and said, and anyway, so.
No, they did. They passed out ballots, and we actually chose the top two. And I thought for sure Live Local would be one because it was very vocal. Everyone had concerns with it. And I still have concerns that it could happen here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making that complete. One more reference, and something we took up tonight. I talk about that city, the Esplanade in Daytona Beach, as a parallel to the opportunity that we've been given on the Women's Club. It's not yet a blighted part of town, but Daytona Beach, through the generosity of the Brown family, are really going to make over a blighted part of that town. Our Women's Club and that whole section of town could be blighted. And I think we're going to get a breath of fresh air with this RFP that's going to go forward if it goes down properly and unearths people that are of like mind and want to have a business mindset and yet have a value for our history. It just speaks volumes about the type of people that we have here in town. So I'm so proud that we were faced with spend $1 gazillion of the money we don't have, or burn it down or demolish it. I'm glad this option has come up, and it wouldn't have come up without the citizens here leaning forward. Madam City Clerk, your report.
Just clarification, you just discussed the CRA meetings beginning at 6:10, and I was just notified that we do need one definitely on October 24th. Originally, I have on your schedules, and we've scheduled the special meeting for the Parking Task Force Chair to deliver their report to you at 5:15. I had slotted 5:15 to 6, and then had that time for you to have your dinner. Do you want a hard stop from 5:15 to 5:45? Dinner for about 20 minutes, and then stick with the 6:10 for the CRA?
Yeah, sure. We won't be that long. We can.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, good. Madam City Attorney.
Yes, I was able to speak to some of you at the briefings, but I think I missed the morning briefings. Regarding the Village Square MDA, they are going to have a community meeting October 18th. And with that October 18th date, it's going to be difficult for them to take all of that, what they hear from the neighbors, and try to modify their MDA in response to that and be ready to go on the October 24th. I believe our agenda would publish on the day they're having the community meeting. So they will be asking a continuance from October 24th, which all of those residents should hear on the 18th. But I wanted to let the commission know, and I'm recommending that on October 24th, it'll still be on the agenda, but I'd be recommending we grant their request for continuance to November 28th, when we would definitely have a full board.
Why would the 24th hasn't been published yet? Or is it because we
We
said last time?
continued it, so it's
Okay.
date certain the 24th, and then we'll have certain things we have to say to follow the new rules.
So on that community meeting, what time is that? 'Cause we also have the Fifth Street Bridge meeting that night.
I will have to, Kelly may have information on the time. All I have is the date. October 18th, the Village Square Community Meeting.
I don't have time
5
on
p.m.
that
Fifth
yet.
Street Bridge, right?
Yep, it's 5
Fifth-
p.m. at
five.
the Fifth Street Bridge.
Yes, I don't have information on the Village Square yet, but I do confirm that.
Our meeting is at 5 o'clock or 5:30 for the Fifth Street Bridge, yes, ma'am.
I've had so much community reach out that I'd sure like to go to the Village Square, so how we
Yeah, I would
balance
just
that.
caution the members of the commission that this item is pending, and I would suggest that you do not speak on this item. Save it for when the meeting reconvenes.
Thank you, so cautioned. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir. Just a few items. We had a session of negotiation with White Whale on 120 Flagler last week. And then yesterday morning, we received an email from them saying that they would like to withdraw their application. I sent them an email back asking them if there's any specific reason, and they didn't respond. My suspicion would be, I think one of the items we discussed during the negotiation was about subleasing, and we told them the subleasing needs to be approved by the commission. And I don't know if there's any more details, but I'm going to try to reach out again to them just to find out. So my question to the commission, I was going to go out for another RFP for lease. So with your consensus, I would like to continue and put it out for RFP.
And a little bit, what'd you say? Yeah.
I don't support that.
You do not?
I don't support putting out for another RFP.
I don't either.
Do
That's
the interchange
second.
or sell it. Intersection improvement or sell it. I'm not going to support it.
We've had 2 RFPs for lease, or 3 already, and none's come to fruition, so I'm with.
So you got some,
Commissioner Booker.
so what he's not saying yet is he got the intel from, remember the guy from La Fiesta?
La Fiesta.
He was out of town, forgot, screwed up, and wanted to bid.
So
Yeah,
this is.
I would like to say that, we've gone to a lot of time and effort and work trying to preserve the Women's Club and find a way that we should be able to keep the women's club with the historic facade. I would like some attention made. That building helps to set the tone of Flagler Avenue. It is a meaningful architectural style for Flagler Avenue, and I would like to have some consideration given to maintaining the ambiance that is aided by that building.
So
We
would we like to
could
offer some?
do the first right of refusal with requirements on the deed restriction if we sell it and
Yeah, I just
maintain
don't
it.
want it, I don't want to sell it and have it torn down and something that is not
I don't
compatible.
disagree with you at all.
I don't either.
But I'm tired, listen, we bought that for an intersection improvement. I believe we need the intersection improvement. I don't know what the heck has happened with that. Let's sell the building. Let's get, we just keep going, tripping all over ourselves with this stuff. So that's just my opinion.
Seeking direction, is there a codified way for us to do that? Or I hear we've got a varied group of opinions. Anybody like to help us move toward directing the city manager?
I'll give you another one.
Oh, thanks.
Make it a showcase for North Beach and move it down here to Old Fort, and we'll use it for office space.
I like it on Flagler, and it could be used by the city on Flagler.
That was
I like our green space here. I don't want another building on our green space.
nice job, Colin.
By the way, Jason, just to note, I don't know if you were at the city meeting about this with the, when the traffic
This is what I'm gonna
engineer
do,
came
Mayor,
in.
is I'm gonna call La Fiesta. If they are interested, I'm gonna put the RFP. If they're not interested, then I'll come back to the commission and make a decision on it, so.
So if you do that research, that'd be great.
Yeah. As far as
The rest of your comments,
the
sir.
intersection improvements, we had three options for it, and none of the options were selected. So at the time, they said, hey, let's do the all pedestrian crossing, in which I contacted DOT, they've done that. That's the only thing that they asked at the time, so. The intersection improvements, there's a board, sits in my office. If that's what the commission wants, we could move forward on
This
it.
is gonna be the same problem we had when a bunch of people said we wanted a drawbridge when it was rebuilt. And then a whole bunch of those people now reflect back and say, yeah, we shouldn't have done another drawbridge.
My favorite
This-
was the traffic consultant who finally said, well, if we did open up all of that area, some people, on occasion, could save up to 10 seconds.
Listen, I travel that intersection daily for 5 years, twice a day. I saw intersection improvements in turn lanes that would greatly help that intersection. That's just my
Except
opinion.
when the bridge is up or when I mean, we'll get that later.
One more item.
Okay, Colin, help us.
One more item there. The city of Ormond Beach is asking for a letter of support against the fuel farm. Other cities have provided the letters for them. We forgot to bring it at the last meeting. So with the commission consensus, we could write a letter of support to Ormond Beach, if the commission is okay with it.
Way to go with these big ones, Colin, right at the end here. There's all big. There's a lot of fur around this. As I understand it, the fuel farm is physically in county space, not in the city of Ormond Beach. And so Commissioner Robbins mentioned that this morning, said, hey, be careful lining up on which side of that. And so is there direction
I
at this
don't
point?
want to participate in that.
I
Either
would
way, I don't have enough information to know.
I would support a letter supporting Ormond Beach.
Okay.
Not an easy one tonight, Mayor.
No, that's all right. And so we could do it, we could codify it and vote on yes or no. Would you like to have a more fulsome discussion though first?
I'd support a letter supporting Ormond Beach.
Anybody want to make a motion for that?
Make a motion to support, make a motion for a letter supporting Ormond Beach against the fuel farm.
So a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so any more discussion?
I'm hesitant on doing a group support of any letters. I personally have written letters from myself, and I encourage you, if you are for or against these things, like the school or Ormond, to reach out yourself. I don't want to be a part of saying that I'm one way or another when I don't have enough facts to know the details of the cost, like for Reed. I don't know why they want to close it. I haven't had a chance to talk to Jesse. I don't know why Danny said be cautious. I'd like to talk to Danny first. It's too premature for me to vote either way, and I refuse to vote tonight on that.
So I'll rescind my motion and say, let's bring some.
Staff, there you go.
We'll talk to staff and let's bring it up at the next meeting and let's take it upon ourselves. And
Motion
try to get-
rescinded without objection. We'll direct the city manager to bring the facts in, even if even if it's from both sides, call it, bring the, Bill Partington in, and then the other side. It'd be good to understand it. And then some literature ahead of time so that we can study it and not just have it in front of us at the time. Is there any other really wonderful items that you have, sir?
Last item is we are working on a revised purchasing policy, and right now it's in the draft. The purpose for that is to kind of help the agenda items. So, for example, if we have an item that is in the budget, and it's not a capital project, obviously, but it's a capital equipment like a vehicle or a car we're buying, and it doesn't exceed the amounts in the budget, and it's through the sheriff's office contract or any other contract, that you will authorize the city manager to do that. So this way it doesn't have to come to you for every item. It's in the budget with the same amount that we have. But capital projects will be coming to you regardless of the amounts.
To make sure I understand, you're asking
I'm not asking you now.
if something we have already approved gets executed, do you have to come back to get approval to execute that which we've already approved? Just checking.
So you approve the budgets. Budget item, it says there is $42,000 to purchase a vehicle. Now we're gonna go buy the vehicle. Usually we come back to the commission to say, hey, we're buying the vehicle from the through the sheriff's contract. If the commission is okay with it, trying to minimize some of these items that they come to you. If not, then we will just put it on the shelf.
Anybody else have questions for him on that? What I do? What's your current limit? What can you approve today?
Today, about 25,000.
So today is 25,000.
So we're going to increase that to 50,000, and then have that other thing on for the capital equipment if it's in the budgets. But capital projects, they will come to you.
Is there a motion to grant city manager budget authority that on
No,
items
I'm not looking for that, man. I'm just saying this is coming up to you.
You're going to bring it later?
Yes,
Another time?
this is in a
Okay,
draft.
very good. That's even better.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, wonderful. Quickly, we're adjourned.